projects, agile project management. So we discuss the basic things in it, the fundamental, and also when some deep, on how to transition from master, you are being hired by maybe a startup. How do you transition your development into agile and ensure that they are, that they are effective? How do you do that, and how long will it take you? Right? We did all that last time. So today, we're going to focus more on practical this time around. So we're going to do more of practical today. So doing practical, so what we're going to do, we're going to build a product, kind of, we're not really like, we're going to build a project, like look at the steps on how you can build a product, a software product from scratch to finish, right? So you can say from ideation to launch, right? So that's what we are going to do here. And also, of course, I didn't do much slide. I didn't do slide at all, actually, because I just believe this is going to be practical all through. So to run through this agenda for today, we are going to look at what is product vision. Why do you need to create a product vision as an agile product owner who is going to deliver a product using Scrum framework? Remember, we are focusing on Scrum framework. So we're going to look at product vision. Then we're going to look at another one that is called from product vision to product backlog. How do you create your initial product backlog from just knowing the product vision or creating a product vision? Then next, you create a product backlog before your team start building. Then we look at roadmap, right? We look at release planning in Jira. Then after that, so we're going to use some of the things have been asking me this question for some time, especially team Velocity Hub, how to use Velocity to determine the project duration. So we are going to learn it today. How do you use team Velocity to forecast the sprints or the the sprint, how many sprints it will take you to deliver the MVP. Then we are going to look at another important thing, capacity planning, right? So we look at capacity planning. How do you track the workload of your team? We're still going to look at we're going to look at original time estimates and story points. So we're going to also look at how to show a report. For instance, you're a Scrum Master. After a sprint or after each sprint, how do you report to your stakeholders? How do you send a report to them, telling them, keeping them, update, carrying them along of what has happened and what's going on in that sprint, what's the plan for that particular sprint, and when is the sprint going to end? It's not really a big report. It's just summary of the sprint goal, how many user stories the team are working on, are working for that particular sprint, their velocity, and the sprint review date, and a few other things. So after that, we're going to look at how to write bug reports. Of course, we've talked about this one before, but we'll kind of do it practical here for people who have not seen it before, right? So you may say it's for testers only. No, I think there's one of my team member, not really from Learn with Pride, that asked me one time that he was in, during the interview, Scrum Master interview, they asked him, how can he does he know how to write a bug report, or how can he report a bug on Jira? All right, so we're going to show you how to report a bug on Jira as a Scrum Master product owner. Then I will, show you also how to kind of manage more than one Scrum team using multiple boards. How can you do that? Then we'll now go do another thing they call dashboard. So dashboard is actually it helps you to visualize the whole work that your team are doing on Jira in one place, right? A lot of people in this team already know that. So after that, we're going to do a sprint review using a product that one of these team have built already. We are going to use the product from a sprint craft, right? So I think we are going to be making use of their board, their Jira board, if time, because I think they have completed their sprint. So we're going to be making use of their Jira board to do a lot of things. Then after that, we'll do review, sprint review, and retro. Then link dependencies, then talk about prioritized techniques. So we're going to start. Before then, I'll just show something that I think please, can you mute yourself, please? Okay, thank you. So before then, I'll just show us a few things that if you're a product owner, you are training as a product owner, scrum master, product owner slash business analyst, right? Of course, you know that you have a lot of work to do when it comes to delivering products in terms of, so you have, in fact, the biggest work in that product, right? So now I've brought out few things I feel that is very, very important that you must know, right? For agile planning for product owner, these are the things that you must do for you to before you can deliver any product at all. These are the things that you need to do. So for the agile planning for a product owner, you need to, you must create a product vision, right? Then develop a roadmap, then also have a release plan, then you must be the one to spearhead the sprint planning. Then daily planning simply means by interacting with the development team, and seeing how they are, what their challenges are or how they are, progressing towards the sprint goal, and looking at if you can make any adjustment, possibly by sprint scope negotiation and all that, right? So after that, there's another thing they call technical debt, right? So these terms, you need to know them because when you start working as a product owner, you may come across these things in your team. How do you know when you're having a technical debt? So what is technical debt? So I will explain this in a very local way. For instance, let's say, for instance, now you are given assignments, let's say in university now, you are given assignment to prove an equation, right? So possibly to prove that equation, the steps, let's say it has 10 steps, right? Yeah, it has 10 steps to prove that particular equation that you're supposed to prove that, and you get it right? That is from beginning to end of that the final answer. Right? It's 10 steps. Now, maybe you just say, I think there's an easier way to do it, right? By just maybe in 3 steps, you can get that same answer, right? So 2 things are involved here. Remember I said the first one, you have 10 steps to actually prove that equation, or rather to solve that particular problem. You're not supposed to follow 10 steps to solve that problem. But you said maybe after looking much, look at it so many ways, you can actually cut corners by just using 3 steps to solve that particular problem at once, right? So 2 things happen. One, you have, you'll be faster than somebody who is, going through 10 steps because you only did 3 steps. You'll be faster than that person. Then somebody is dropping a chat. Please hold your question. Please hold your question. We'll talk about that when it's time for question, please. Okay, so as I was saying, so the person that has 10 steps are supposed to, to actually deliver that assignment, it will take you 10 steps. That's the real way to do it. But then you said no, you find an easier way, maybe that will save you time and maybe become faster by using like 3 steps or 5 steps to, arrive at that answer. But then arriving at that answer that you got, maybe is what something happened there in the sense that it's not going to some maybe because you skip some step when they are maybe using the marking scheme, it's required 10 steps and you skip you skip 7 steps or rather use 3 steps. Of course, you are faster, you arrive at the answer. But then all those steps that you miss, right, is an error for you, right? You're going to lose mark in all those steps that you miss. So translating this to this agile product management now. Now, technical debt simply means the cost of rework, right? So let's say you cut corners to deliver a software product now. Let's say your development team, because you're supposed to do a proper planning, maybe using roadmap, release plan, all that, and you decide to skip them. Maybe development team just start building, start writing code, login and all that. At the end of the day, they arrive at that end of the product. But then arriving at the ending of the product, they discover that they've made so many errors, right? There are so many errors that have occurred while they were building that product because why they did not follow the actual steps. So that is why they call it technical debt. And effect of technical debt, the product owner must know is that effect of technical debt, whenever there is technical debt in a team, right, it will slow the speed of the work or the delivery date. Let's say the release date of that MVP is going to be slow because the team will have to go back again to go and fix all those areas, those stuff. It may likely be bugs, a lot of bugs. I'm just becoming up bugs and.
Yeah,
Bring water in my room for me first.
Please, can you mute yourself? So you may, the team may have a lot of bugs in their products, right? So because of that, you cannot ship product that is full of bugs. You need to go back again. they have to start, going back to where what they could have minimized the first time by taking the actual step, right? They will not, waste time again and run a new sprint to go and start fixing all those things. So that is why they call it technical debt. So you need to avoid this, ensure you look at it very well. When your team are too, they are not doing a proper planning, it will result to technical debt. So the definition said the cumulative cost of resolving issues that arise because of an earlier decision to take a quicker route instead of the best or most efficient, or the consequence of prioritizing delivery over performance. So you need to know this very well. Now, another thing, okay, another steps to minimize this, you can look at what they call, you need to create a product vision, a roadmap, right? That the whole team understands. Then you need to, create a meaningful definition of done. All right. So with this, you can minimize, in case if you are being asked in interview, how can you minimize? These are the steps to minimize it, right? Although there are types, you can read on that later. Then release plan. In agile planning, right? Release planning is actually by, how do you plan to release your sprints? In terms of, let's assume we have 2 week sprints. How many user stories you plan to release in that 2 weeks?
Sleep.
Right? So now, product roadmap. Product roadmap is another important artifact that helps the team, it helps the product owner or product manager, or even product manager to plan and prioritize the steps for delivering the products, right? What are the benefits of having a good product roadmap? It's focused on increment value over time, right? So these are the important things you need to. So now let's move down to the first agenda here, which is a product vision. So now, like I said, we're going to do practical here, like it's kind of practical. So for instance, now, a stakeholder, I'm going to use, I'll be calling some names. I don't know if you're here, but I'm not calling you, just to use your name as stakeholder and product owner. So let's assume Damilola is the stakeholder. Damilola wants to build a product, right? And he calls maybe Benita as the product owner from the client from Learn with Pride. So he would first of all explain to Benita. That's what they call information gathering meeting. They will have a meeting, hold a meeting to for Benita to gather information from Damilola to know what she really want to build, right? The product, what she wants to build. Now, after Benita has gathered that information, right? The next thing you need to do, you don't just need to start go and start building or start writing code. How do you Benita, Damilola has told you her problem, why she's building that product or why she needs that product. But then
You have to sleep. You have school tomorrow. Please, sorry.
So what you need to do as a product owner, that is the Benita now, what you are going to do after gathering that information, you need to create what they call product vision. Why are you creating product vision? Because you need to make the team, your team to be on the same page, understand the actual goal, why we are building that product and how it's going to favor how it's going to solve problem for that stakeholder, right? So there are some ways you can do this, right? So for you to create a product vision, it has 5 components. The first thing that you must have, I will show you guys the product vision sample, but now the product vision has a five component. The first thing you need to know is the goal, right? Some people will say it as the vision. What is the goal? What's the problem? Let me show it from. So this is a product vision, right? So this is the first thing you need to create after you've got that information from the stakeholder. Now, because you want your team to be on the same page, to understand why we are building the product, and so that everybody have the same goal, the same mindset for that product we're going to do. You need to create, the first thing you need to create is what they call product vision. Now, creating product vision now is going to have 5 components. The first thing, which is goal or vision. I'll say goal or vision. So this one is asking you, why are you creating the product, right? So you're going to put the goal here. Then the next thing you're going to consider is the target group, which we usually call the customers or the personas who are the users of this product, right? You list the users of this product. I think this product is from Investmates Springcraft. So you list the users of this product, right? That's the next component. So after that, the next thing you're going to look at is the needs. Needs has to do with what problem does your product solve, right? So this is the question you're going to ask. What problem does your product solve? So in that place, you're going, of course, the problem from the meeting you had with the stake with Damilola, you know that he has already told you everything, few things that you know about the product and how you are going to go about it. You list out the problem that the products have, right? The next thing now, what are the key features? What are the things that are going to make this your product or this Damilola's product looks different from what other people have built? Now you list out the key features now for that particular project or that product you want to build. So here you can see the key features that these guys listed for their products. Then the next thing, talk about goals. The value. What value is it going to bring to the stakeholder and to the users, right? So that is why you must consider the value. How is it going to benefit the users and also the stakeholders who is building the products? Now, this is where you have to look at it and look at it. Of course, there must be, revenue generation. Look at so many other things that product that is linked to that product that is going to serve. So when you are done creating all this, when you are done creating this product vision, now it is now time, since you've gotten your product vision, you have been able to align your team to be on the same page, to understand why they are going to build the product. The next thing you're going to do now is what they call from product vision to product backlog. How can you create your product vision from how can you create product backlog from product vision? So remember, if you have heard of product strategy and all that, this is where their work comes in, right? So it's kind of research work and so many other things. But here in Scrum framework, the product owner and the team, can do this within few days, right? Or like maybe taking research, doing so many things, and analyzing and all that. So now, how do you do it now? So remember, so we're going to go from product vision now to create our initial product backlog. That's what we're going to do now. So to do it now, to create a backlog from product vision, you need to consider something. So let us imagine that of course, for every product you're going to build, it usually starts with an idea, right, or hypothesis, right? So let's say it's an idea. Of course, every product there's always an idea. The stakeholder has given you the idea of what he wants to do. He or she is not even sure of what is going to happen. So it's just like a hypothesis, right? So for this hypothesis, it's usually of two parts. The first part you're going to consider as the product owner now, right? The first part you're going to consider, or let's say depending on the first thing you're going to consider is, I'm going to consider the first thing, saying, does the problem, like, is there a problem? Is there any problem at all that the client is going to solve, right? Fine. If you have understand that there's a problem the client wants to solve, the next question you're going to ask yourself, how are we sure, or how is this solution, the solution we are going to provide, how is it going to be valuable to the users and also to the stakeholders, right? So I have a Venn diagram here, so I will explain this to you. So the first question you're going to ask is, is there a problem? Does a problem exist? Of course, he has told you that's why, because there's no product you're building without a problem. There's a problem that the client or the stakeholder wants to solve. That's why you're building that product. Now, since you find out that the problem exists, the next question you're going to ask yourself is, the solution you're going to provide for that problem, how is it going to be valuable to the users, right? So if you have answered that question, the next thing you're going to ask yourself now is, now this solution we are going to build now, how is it feasible, right? The solution you're going to provide, is it feasible? So under this feasibility now, you're going to consider things like the skill set. You really have the skill sets to deliver this solution you're going to build, right? So when I'm talking about skill sets, now you're talking about considering maybe what kind of skill set do you need? Do you need a full stack developer? Do you need who are supposed to use for that product? Do you need a software architecture? Do you need a maybe product designer, data analyst? Who do you need to deliver this product? You need to consider all these things. Then another question you need to ask under this feasibility study, it could be maybe the technology that is involved. What's the technical aspect you're going to use to deliver this? In terms of maybe talking about Jira now, which tools are you guys going to use to deliver this product, right? So after talking about this feasibility now the next thing you need to ensure now is that the next thing you need to ask yourself now is what they call this product, this solution you're building, is it going to be usable? Will the team use it, right? So once you have understand this question now, the next thing you need to do now, you need to bring in people who are, it's not only product now that will do this work. So this is what they call the brainstorming stage, right? Remember I said product ideation. In ideation stage, is usually brainstorming, or they call it product strategy. Strategy is all about brainstorming, from like it's kind of phase zero of that product now. So we're going to bring in some key guys who are going to represent these three features I've just said here. First of all, valuable. The product are going to is it going to be valuable to the users? Of course, the person that is going to be responsible for this one is the product owner. He must be in that meeting, the product owner or product manager. Then feasibility now, who is going to consider to ensure that there's, the product is going to be feasible and all that. This is where you contact the engineering lead or engineering team. Let's say for this project, we're talking about the full stack developer or maybe the software developer now must be in that meeting, in that brainstorming meeting. Then another person you're going to consider now, because there's, you need to have a UI UX guy. That is people who ensure that this solution they're going to, that this engineering guys will build is going to be usable by the users. So that is why you need to have this, you need to have at least 3 people in this meeting. So the first person is going to be the product owner, who is going to lead the meeting. Then the next person that you're going to have for this brainstorming stage is the person with the engineering guys, maybe full stack, developer, front end, whoever they are. Then the UI UX guy, or maybe software architectures, you need to have them involved. Now, these 3 things, these 3 values now are going to intersect to form what we call this, to give us our product backlog, right? So these 3 values, now once you're able to, understand these 3 values or have these 3 values, you should be able to create your product backlog, right? So now how do you do this? Of course, like I said, you can use tools. There are some brainstorming tools. You can use Miro to do this stage, or you can use a FigJam to do this analysis by brainstorming. So now, of course, you've created the product vision. So the next thing now to do is what they call, after you have these 3 guys in your team, next stage you're supposed to do now is what they call story mapping, right? Story mapping is actually telling you, you're going to kind of, your team are going to brainstorm, sit together, look at high level goal of the users and how they're going to. Please mute yourself. So now the next stage you're going to face now is what they call user story mapping, right? So it's usually brainstorming stage, whereby these whole team guys now, the product owner, developers, and the UI UX team, whoever is involved, that is going to deliver this 3 value, we meet together, right? So it's to do this, you can use some software like Miro, or you use some tools. So for me, I normally use I normally use FigJam. If you know how to use Figma, you can do it from Figma, right? You can use FigJam to do it, or you can use Cardboards. There are so many tools you can use to do this. So why are you doing it? So this thing has 4 stages. To do this brainstorming, it has 4 stages. So the first thing you need to do, the product owner need to frame the journey of this, need to frame the journey. How does it frame the journey? Of course, it's going to develop a product vision, which he has already, done the first time. So this time around, is going to, in this meeting, the first thing that product owner will do when they gather for this particular meeting now, when they gather for this meeting, the first thing that product owner will do is to frame the journey of this story mapping, which is by reading out this product vision. Why is he doing it? Because he wants everybody to have clear understanding of what they are going to do and the problem they are trying to solve, right? So this product vision actually asks 3 questions. What's the problem? What's the problem? Who are we building the solution for? And why are we building it, right? So that's the 3 things that product vision answer. The first one is, what is the problem you're trying to solve? Who are you solving this problem for? The third one is, why are you solving this problem? That is the business goal, right? So that is all the summary. So once you have told discuss this with your team, share the product vision with them. The next thing that you need to do is what they call the next step that you need to follow. You need to follow what's it called? You need to follow create a backbone now. So what do you mean by creating a backbone? Creating a backbone simply means now looking at the high level steps that these products, these users now, let's say you put yourself in the shoe of the users now. How are they going to do this now, to arrive to this product? So I will use example, let me say, let's say, This is FigJam. If you know how to use Figma, you can use FigJam. So this one is for designers, UI, UX. This one is for brainstorming, and you can use this particular one for sprint retrospective and so many other things. So I'll use this one now just to show. I'm not going to do more, just to show us how you can do this, how to create a backbone. Right. So creating a backbone simply means like looking at the high level goals of this user. If you're a user, this user should now, how are you going to go about it? For you to look for it, just type where is that search button? Say, okay, so you go to template, there's a template here. So you click on this place. For you to get templates, you need just type story mapping. Story mapping. Look at the templates here. So just type story mapping and to come out, right? So you allow it to load. This is a brainstorming session, right? So you allow this to load. The first thing you're going to do, of course, the template is already here for you. You have to zoom, right, to see how it's done, right? So now, the first thing you're going to do now, of course, we've told them the reason why you guys are building the product. Now, the next thing is to, look at high level goals. So I'm going to use another app as an example. Now, for instance, let's just consider I want to build a restaurant app now, right? Now, who is the user? The user is, the user is somebody who wants to buy food, right? Now, what are the steps, the step that this user is going to take for him to be able to buy food from a restaurant, maybe online, right? So I'm going to just give an example here. I'm not doing much, just give you an example, but let us consider, I'm considering a restaurant app now. A user, let's say maybe Sonny now, Sonny wants to buy food, he's hungry and he wants to order food from maybe Chicken Republic. How do you do it, right? What is in your mind? How picture it that way, how is he going to do it? So the first thing, let's assume I want to build now. Just say, so the high level goal now, I'll use this file as the high level goal. I can change this color. So I'm coming. So you can actually change the color if you want. Let's say we change this to blue. You can widen this card. All right. So now let's say I edit this guy now. So let's say Sonny wants to buy food now. Of course, the first thing that will come to Sonny's mind is to search for a restaurant. Let's say these are the high level goal now. Let's say search for a restaurant. Search for restaurants. Right. So the next, after Sonny has gotten a favorite restaurant, maybe you have a favorite one. What is Sonny going to do again? The next step now, what will Sonny do again? Because he wants to order food. So the next thing that Sonny may likely do is to log in. So let's say he has seen the restaurants he wants, right? So you need to search for the food he wants, right? Search for his food. Search for food. Right? You search for food. Now, when you have seen the food you want, the next thing is going to be is to order the food, right? Place order, that is order. Right? So under this order, you're going to maybe have other things. But the high level now, look, when I mean high level, what are the few steps that this user is going to take from the, the high level, like the highest thing, or the first, the most important thing that you need to consider first. So first of all, search a restaurant. Once you have seen a restaurant that you need, next thing to do, look at, search the food you want. Once you see the food you want, then next thing, place an order, right? So it's a place order, right? So let's say the next thing now that we can use to build a restaurant now, or to complete this restaurant app now, the high level stuff now, we can say the next one now. So once you have placed an order now, okay, sorry, place your order. Right. So once you place your order, what are you going to do next? Of course, you need to pay. Right. So okay, I think it should be 5. So you place an order now, that is cards. So place an order, under this place an order, you should have a card when you have building of that. So let's say the next thing now, of course, make payments. Right, make your payments. let's say these are the 4 things, 4 major. Okay, the next thing now is going to deliver. Let's say the company is doing delivery. They will have to deliver for you, right? You consider this. So this one now, deliver. You can just use delivery, food delivery. Food delivery. Right. So let's assume these are the high level goal for a restaurant app now, right? To build a restaurant app. So this is the backbone now. I have built the backbone of this restaurant app now, right? So I just built a backbone for this restaurant app. Now the next thing I'm going to consider now is what they call you build the body. So I haven't gotten the high level goal of this product now. How you are going to go about it? Remember, you are not the only one doing this. You have the development team now, the engineering lead and all that. Everybody is in the team. So the next thing now, let's assume for start for restaurants now under this one. So this is where I'm going to talk about the next step now, which is build the body. So building the body now, this is where I'm going to create the activities that are going to fall on each of these this high level goal now. So the first thing may be like, okay, you're going to have your epic here, your epic and user story. So epic will come on top. So if you want to do is that, you have to change the color of this card now. So for us to understand they are under this guy, so you have to, let's say, change this card to change the color to maybe something like this, right? So for instance, you say search for restaurants. So how do you search for restaurants, right? So possibly, how are you going to search for the restaurants? You could use maybe from Glovo. Let's say can use Glovo maybe second. Anybody talking to me, please? So you search for restaurant, maybe use maybe from websites, right? Can check online, can use online maybe internet to search, depending on how you want to be. So let's say this is the epic you're going to consider for this high level now, right? So the next thing under this internet now, you do the same for all this one. Like look at the high level, the epics, the possible, you're building the partner, looking at the epic now that is going to fall on these ones. On all this, you're going to connect them to this. Let's say you link this guy, right? So let's say we link this way, then the same. So under this one, now the next thing you're going to have is the user stories now. So you have to have another color of card like this one now. So when you're doing story map, you usually have 3 colors of card, right? So now the next one under this user story, now you have to start building the user story. This is where the user stories you're going to have, right? User story is usually the most, usually much here. So at the end of the day, after you've gotten all the user stories, you're not the only one. Like everybody will be contributing what is going to come here and what's going to come under this one and all that, right? So when you're done, writing out the user stories from this card and all that, the next thing you're going to do here is to, slice out your MVP, right? So what is MVP? MVP is actually the minimum features or functionalities that you're going to add to a product, to satisfy the user of that product, right? So now this is where you're going to select, all the possible user stories that you and your development team or the technical team who are there. Sometimes stakeholders can be in this meeting also, right? You select them, and from there, once you've gotten all this, the next thing is to, slice your MVP like I did here, like this one. So up here is an MVP. So I have a kind of board format here. So if you look at this card, this is similar something I just did here. This purple one is the home seeker, the person that is the user, right? So all these ones are the high level, then this is the epic, then all these ones are the user stories, right? So now once we've gotten the user stories and you slice your MVP, so MVP now means from here now means that my MVP. So for me to get my MVP now, I'm going to do all these things. These are the user stories I need to until I get to this place. If I can say this, I've gotten to my MVPs, like I've been able to deliver that product, right? Every other thing below the MVP is a waste of time. You don't need it in that particular product. Let's say for the version 1 or the first version of that product, you don't need it for this. So now the next thing you're going to do now is to plan your release. Remember, we are moving further now. Now I'm going to plan release from this same place now. The product owner and the team, development team will reshuffle all this card by doing you're going to prioritize user stories. Which one is supposed to come first, and which one, should not use first and all that. So maybe by moving up, you move this card up, you can say, no, this one goes go to this side and this one come to this side. That's the pricing. So when they are done doing that, the next thing they plan the release by doing something like this that I just did here. So once they are done, so all this release means that these are the user stories that are going to have in the first release. So second release, these are the user stories they're going to have in the second release. Then the third release, which is the MVP. Now these are the user stories that will fall under the MVP. That is the last release for that product. So once all these things are done, the next thing you're going to do is to what they call plan your roadmap. Of course, you must have a roadmap, right? So every product, as a product owner, please, you must have a roadmap. You must have a release plan. So this is actually a typical roadmap that I plan. I think I did this for, okay, no, I have one for these guys, these products, investments. So this one now, from what they did there, their user story and all that. So now for their first release, right, from that, so just picture this as the practical we just what I just showed now. Like all these users, this release one now, these are the user stories now. So under why release two, these are the user story, then release three, these are the user stories. So now this thing I did here. So for release one, now you can see this is so the roadmap saying that for release one, first quarter, that's we're going to have our release one. And under the release one, what are the user stories for the release one? These are the user stories according to Spring Crafting. Homes, they are going to build the home, login, sign up, about us, investor page, and all that, right? For release, and what is going to be the goal of that particular release? Design and development of investment landing page, right? For release two now, the same thing. So they're going to have other set of user stories for investor profile and other things. These are the user stories they're going to have for their release two. And it must have a name. What's the goal of that release two? Now, what are they going to release or expect to release in release two? Investor and entrepreneur profile creation and management. The same thing goes to release three until they get to the MVP. This depends on the team and how far they are doing it and all that. So this will help them to have, this will help the team to avoid one technical debt because they already have a, an overview of what they are building. Of course, in release one, they already know that they are not working in anything like, these are the user stories they're going to focus on for their release one, right? So anything outside this release one, of course, it can change. Roadmap can change over time, maybe within the sprints and all that. But of course, at the initial stage, they already know that these are the user stories they're going to focus on for their first release. Their second release will be this one. That when I mean release, I'm talking about the sprint too. These are sprint one, sprint two, and all that, right? So when all these things are done, of course, you've gotten all this. The next thing now is for the product owner to develop, pick all these things now, pick all these user stories now, then put them, take them to Jira and write a nice user story, a very detailed user story about this card now. So moving forward now, we're going to go into Jira now. All right. Let me see. I want to use this guy's oh my gosh. Oh. Okay, so this is their product. This is the product that they are building, like this spring investment and all that. This is their products, right? So they've actually done do a lot of planning, but this is what we are going to use as case study for this project, right? So now the next thing, let's assume now. So the product owner will now take these user stories now from this, put all these user story in Jira, take them to Jira, and write, write user story, right? So now for product backlog, right? So for a product backlog, you need to consider, for you to have a good product backlog, you need to consider some criteria, right? There's what they call deep criteria. It is being coined by Roman Pichler and Mike Coyne. So these are the things that they consider to have a good product backlog before you can have a quality, a good, backlog. One of the criteria, which is deep, that's what DEEP. So the first the distance that the backlog must
Sorry,
have.
Chigozie, please, can you tell them to mute their mic, please? They're distracting us.
Please mute your mic. Oh. Okay, so for you to write a good, have a good product backlog, of course, you must ensure that it meets what they call deep criteria. So the D stands for detail, the backlog must be well detailed, right? The product backlog item must be well detailed. Now, the next one is that the first E there stands for emergent. So emergent means that the product backlog is continuously updated as long as the product, as long as the product is ongoing and all that. So you must continue, you need to be updating it as more information is learned to update your backlog. The next thing is that the product backlog item must be estimated, right? These are product backlog, it must be estimated. Then the next one is that the P there means that the product backlog item must be prioritized, right? So you should be able to prioritize your product backlog item. So once you are able to have this deep criteria, of course, you need to write your user story. You all know how to write user story. Do all that.
Sorry, please. I know we are not to ask questions, but can you take the deep again, please? What it means?
Okay. So let me come in a different way now. Now, this is a product, this is a product backlog I'm showing you now. Of course, we know product backlog contains the list of features, maybe bug, and possible all the functionalities that you need to deliver a product, right? And also, you know that product backlog does not only contain features, it also contains bug. It can house bug, maybe spike, technical like upgrade and all that, right? So these are other things that you can find there. Now, let's consider this is a product backlog, right? So let's assume now I just pick this user story from maybe from my story mapping and all that. From this story map, and I just pick these user stories here and just populate them on Jira like that, right? Now, of course, you can notice that this product backlog is going to, it's kind of dirty. I want you to consider it this way, that it's kind of dirty in the sense that let's say if you need to do some work to kind of clean it, do some clean up here to get what you want, I know, kind of get the kind of test you want on this backlog. So let's picture it with a scenario now. Consider your fridge now, refrigerator now. You have a fridge at home, and let's say it's very dirty now, and maybe your fridge is very dirty, and you have two options to clean it. One is either maybe the smell is so bad that you cannot even withstand it. Then you can decide to go and clean the fridge. Or maybe another option you can use to maintain your fridge, maybe because you have maybe a regular time. Let's say you clean your fridge every 2 weeks. This is how you can maintain the fridge by making it not to be dirty, right? Now consider product backlog as in a similar way. Picture it in a similar way that as it is now, we're considering these are dirty, like this place is very dirty now. We need to do some work, do some refine here and to clean up, take the ones we want. So for you to do this, you need to consider what they call deep criteria, right? So you can type it online, type characteristics of a good product backlog. You can type online. So it's being coined, or the idea is being derived by this man they call Roman Pichler and Mike Coyne, right? So these are the two guys that said, for you to have a quality product backlog, you need to your backlog must meet deep criteria. The deep means DEEP, right? Why the D stands for this says that the D stands for detail product backlog item, right? So the product backlog item, which is like testimonials, testimony must be, it must be detailed properly. Then the first E stands for emergent, that the product backlog item, product backlog must be emergent, meaning that it can be updated at any time, right? That's emergent there. Then the next one is that the product backlog item must be estimated, right? So that the product backlog must be estimated, right? Meaning that you can always estimate by adding, like these are estimations now, 5 story points and all that. You can always estimate your your product backlog item, right? Now, the next one, now the P there stands for prioritize. That's your product backlog item must be prioritized, must prioritize like your product backlog. How do you prioritize this backlog? Let's assume that to prioritize simply by, you can consider maybe according to the value you want to deliver for the product stakeholders, and you can say, let's say we're going to move this guy to top, right? Let me prioritize. So prioritizing means that you're just bringing the one according to the value you want to deliver, right? You can consider to rank them, put them up, and use some criteria to do that. So let's assume I'm going to prioritize this guy, and I'm going to move this story point down, maybe to the bottom of this backlog now. right? I'm moving them to the bottom now, meaning that they are less value. Like, let's say move to the bottom of the backlog. You can see they are the bottom of the backlog now. So now, for you to prioritize your backlog, it means that the items at the top of the backlog, right? They are the ones that are, they are already prioritized. They are ready to deliver, those are the ones that the product owner has prioritized and they are ready to, those are the ones that he wants to deliver, right? Those are the ones that is going to add value for the current sprint. Why the ones at the bottom means that they are less refined, right? They are less refined. So you can have up to 50 user stories on your backlog. That doesn't mean that you're going to work on all of them at the same time. And also know that all the product backlog items, they don't have equal, they don't have the same level of granularity. Like they don't have, they're not refined at the same level. Everybody have their own different level. It could be that, for instance, this sprint now, product owner, let's as all these product backlog items have. The product owner is only interested in working maybe 5. Let's say this, and this. This is the only one that he refined. He has, refined this. All the other thing, he has not written anything there, right? But they are all there. So he will keep working on them. The ones he need that is going to add value, just go and bring them up and refine. Is that clear to you now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, so moving forward, we've explained backlog, right? So now I haven't gotten your product backlog. If the next thing, I haven't created your product backlog now, the next thing you're going to do, of course, we've talked about roadmap, product backlog, and all that. So the next thing you're going to do now, having created your product backlog, of course, you need to write a user story, so you need to, after you've gotten your product backlog, so the next thing you need to do now, because you need to clean up this product backlog, like I said, using a scenario that the fridge is dirty and it's doing the same as, for your backlog. So the next thing you're going to do is what they call product backlog refinements, right? So you're going to use that considering that deep criteria now to clean up your backlog now. So when you are doing product backlog refinements, you are considering majorly 3 things. One is to size the user stories. Size them means adding story points, like estimation, like what we have here, 3, 5, and all that. These are story points, just size. Then the next thing is to add description to your card, right? So if you open this user story now, you can see these guys, they've added the description as a user, as a visitor, blah, blah, blah. Then you must have an acceptance criteria, right? So this is adding description. Then the third thing is to prioritize the backlog item, right? So that is what I just did initially. So these are the 3 things that is getting done during product backlog refinements. You must do this before you proceed. So note that during product backlog refinements, you can have stakeholders, significant stakeholders, maybe from external and internal stakeholders. They can decide to participate if they have interest in that project. They can participate and help the product to suggest the one that likely produce value first to the team for that product they are delivering, right? So during product backlog refinements, the stakeholders can attend. It's not only the Scrum team, it's not only the Scrum Master. Scrum Master will be there to facilitate developer and product owner, right? So they can, they will all be there if the stakeholder wants. But majorly, the product backlog refinement or backlog refinement is majorly for product owner and development team, right? But every other person can participate, right? It's a free stuff. So when you are done doing this, right? So when you're done doing, the next thing is to plan your sprint. So now the next, like remember I told us that agile planning, product owner, you need to plan sprints. So the next thing you're going to do is to plan your sprint now. The product owner will come to a sprint planning. So for sprint planning, the whole Scrum team, product owner, development team, and the Scrum Master, they all attend the meeting, right? So in that meeting, the first thing, we usually have the first part, which is the product owner is going to, propose what the development team is going to build for that particular sprint. Right, then the second part of that meeting is going to be that development team will now, develop the plan that they're going to use to deliver what's the selected product backlog items that the product owner wants them to deliver. So they will make a plan to deliver it, right? So these are the things. Then also in that sprint planning, product owner will propose the sprint goal, kind of bring an idea what he wants them to deliver for that particular sprint. So you propose a sprint goal. So that's how that works. So when it's done, so now when meeting is done, in that, of course, Scrum Master is going to facilitate the meeting. So when that meeting is done, the next thing, how would the Scrum Master report to the stakeholder? What happened in that sprint? So that is where you're going to do this. They call it sprint communication templates, right? So every Scrum Master need to do this for themselves, right? So of course, this is the name of the team, right? Home slide, this is the name of your team. Let's assume this is a sprint craft. I'll just change this to sprint craft. Sprint craft. This is the name of the team. Then sprint what? Let's say this is a sprint 5. Change this to sprint 5. Now, what's the sprint goal? Of course, every sprint you have must have a sprint goal, right? So you write the short description of the sprint goal here. The product Scrum Master is doing this one. You're writing the sprint goal here, right? After writing the sprint goal now sprint backlog. What are the backlog items that was selected? You're going to mention the backlog item that was selected and also the estimate they have. So I'll just give it, pick some things from oh, did I close this? Okay, so now let's assume, let me go to sprint now. So I'm going to use, oh, these guys have completed their sprints. Really? Okay, so let me do something now. So please watch. Did not set any sprint again. Okay, so let me do something here. Let me bring back their old sprint. Let me bring back their old sprints, right? So also learn as a Scrum Master, I need to know how to reopen sprints. So I'll go and bring back their old sprints. They've ended their sprints here. There's no sprint ongoing right now. You can look at their board. Nothing is going on here, right? But I want to use, let's see, is this their products? Then you see finance. Okay, so I'll go and reopen the sprint here. So to reopen a sprint, go to sprint burn down charts. This is what the step very well. If you want to reopen a sprint, the sprint has ended. Before you start a new sprint, maybe there's something that you want to correct, or there's something that was not clear or very well. You go to reports, click on reports, click on sprint burn down charts. When it opens, you click on these 3 dots here, right? So you will see this reopen sprints. I'm going to bring back the sprint. They've closed their sprint 5 and also did their retrospective 2 days ago. Wow. I'm going to bring it back. So I'll just open it. You ask me, do I want to reopen? I say yes. Now I'll reopen this sprint. It will come back here. Do you grab? So now you can see they have a sprint ongoing right now. It's telling me now complete sprint. Now below this is their backlog, right? Great sprint. So this one, this is the user story that was planned for that last sprint now. So if I go to board, I should be able to see something, right? So you can see I've opened it again now. Now I'll go back to backlog. This is their sprint backlog. Remember, I want to create a report as a Scrum Master, right? So these are the sprint backlog. I need to write, copy the user stories for this sprint. So these are the users to document the project plan, project and all that. So you just come here, copy. So just come here, the first backlog item now. All right, so that was the first one. Then what's the story points now? Right, so you attach the story point to this. Let's say what's the story point of this thing now? They estimated it to be 3, right? I'll put 3 here. Put 3. Then you do the same for that one. Let's say I'm just going to take 3 and I'll proceed. For this one, Control C. So let's look at the story point for this. They said 5, right? So I'll pick 5 here. All right. 5. You can write it in full, right? You can say 5 story points, right? Or you can, design your own by creating here you can create table, right? Come here and create a table and have a column for story points here. Let's say we can do that. Table.
Yeah.
Let me just redo. Why is it asking me something? I'm supposed to be able to have. Anyway, I've not used it for some time now, so I wanted to create a column here. Let me see if I should be able to write by myself. Okay, so the idea I wanted to create a line here. Okay, I should be able to do it here. Yeah. So something like this, right? Uh, so over here, you can, instead of writing 3 here, of course, write 3 here. You can stay here, maybe scope, right? Scope, or you write story point. Of course, remember story point is usually scope. So you say story points 3, then this one 5. So you do this, and at the end of the day, for that particular sprint, there must be, the total value, let's say this one is, let's assume this one is 3, right? So if you sum, for you to get your velocity for that particular sprint, the team velocity for that particular sprint, so for you to get your team velocity for that particular sprint is the total sum of, you sum these values, this this story point. The total sum will now give you the velocity of that team. So now, here looking at this one, the velocity of this team is 11, right? So 11, that is the estimated velocity of this team, right? So then the next thing now, we're going to schedule, for the schedule, they're going to tell us the sprint period, how many weeks is spent. Let's look at the, how is this thing closing by itself? So their sprint started, this is a 2-week sprint, I guess. 2nd of February to 16th of February. So you put the dates here, right? So sprint sheet, so to start dates, you put the 2nd, go to, right? The end date now, you put 16th. Anyhow you want, you can write your dates. Sorry. Right. So now the daily scrum starts. Of course, the team must have agreed when they want to be having their daily scrum, right? So you put the start date of the start time of your daily scrum. Let's say you guys as agree maybe 10 a.m. right? 8 a.m. Then it will end by 10:15. 10:50. The location now. So you put the location. Is it Zoom? Is it maybe Office? You put the location where you want. You can say maybe Zoom meeting via Zoom meeting, right? Now the demo now, of course, why are you going to report it? Because your sprint demo, that is your sprint review. Once you plan your sprint, your sprint, you must know that day you're supposed to know the day for your sprint review, right? So the sprint demo for this meeting is going to be 16th, right? 16th of 2024. Now the time, it depends on you. Of course, it depends on the Scrum Master, maybe decide maybe by 2 p.m. right? Then location, of course, you put the location we are going to have it. Now the team members who are the people that are available during your sprint meeting, sprint planning meeting, you put their names here, right? So when you are done, of course, you can extend this by adding the release, right? Now this is release 1, the release that you guys plan. You can come down here, add the version or release. It's seen as version. So you can put the maybe put the dates, the release date that you want to release, then add the user stories under the possible user story that are going to release in that particular space. So when you are done, this is how you can report to your stakeholders, right? Send them invite to keep them, keep them updated on what is going on, what you guys are going to deliver for that sprint, and how long it's going to be and all that. So you must learn how to do this. This is one of the reports you do, right? So let's look at what we have next here. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do now, let's go to practical. So right now I'm going to answer one question now. I'm going to do release plan in Jira. I'm going to answer how to use velocity, team velocity to determine project duration. Oh, sorry, we jumped something. We've jumped something because this thing was, is done. So the first thing that we need to do during sprint planning, please, you do this one during sprint planning also. Let me put it on the top. So during sprint planning, right? While you are still on the sprint planning, before you even start your sprint planning, of course, so there's what they call capacity planning. Capacity planning helps you. The person that owns this one is Scrum Master. Please, I'm focusing on two people here: Scrum Master, developer, majorly two people: Scrum Master and the product owner / business analyst. Right. So during sprint planning, right, you need to understand your availability of your team. Right. To understand the availability of your team, you can do it by understand when your team, who your team member for that sprint, how many people are going to be available for that sprint, throughout the sprint duration, and how is it going to affect your sprint? Because let's assume now some people may have their off, maybe there's vacation or there's public holidays coming in that week, they're going to plan that sprint, right? Scrum Master, you need to know all this ahead of time, right? So that is where capacity planning comes in. Capacity planning helps you to determine the availability of your team, right? One. Two, second thing that to help you to do is to know the workload, to ensure that you do not overwork your team. I'm sure you guys must have heard that Scrum Master ensures that the product owner does not overload their developers. This is how you know if your developers are going to be overloaded or if they are overloaded in the sprints, right? So let me zoom this. Right, so I actually developed this. I use this in my own work, right? So as a Scrum Master, you must have what they call, you must, do capacity planning for your team. So like I just said, the function of capacity planning, it's help you to know the availability of your team for that particular sprint, not for the project, but for that particular sprint that is ongoing, right? So over here, I designed, I use this for my team, right? So capacity plan is basically for the people who are directly involved in development of that increment. It is not for product owner, neither is it for Scrum Master. You don't do capacity planning. Product owner is not included in capacity planning. Scrum Master is not included in capacity planning. It is only developers, development, that is the software developer and the tester, they are going to include for that capacity plan, because these are the people that are directly involved in development or building, creation of that increment, right? So over here, this is a template I developed. You can do this in two ways. Either you decide to use digital one by doing it on Jira, right? But Jira, you have to buy, either you have an advanced Jira for it, advanced, you need to upgrade your plan to advanced, right, to use it, or you add the, there are some app here. You come to this place, you can explore. Let's say we'll explore. So you can also get it from here. If you want to use digital one, just type capacity planning. But this one, you need to pay for it. Capacity planning. So it will load. These are the templates you can use. But these are paid. Like after 30 days, you start paying for them, right? You can see capacity planning, time tracking, and all that for Jira. This one, some are free, some are not free. You can see, so you can use any of this one. But then majority of them are paid, you can pay for them, right? So instead of you, except your company, you're not working for maybe for a company that is developed already, there are some free version you can use. You can see task planner for Google Calendar and all that, right? So if you want to use this one, for you to know the best one to use, look at the one that has highest review and the highest number of installation, right? You can see. So from here, you can pick the one, because if you've not used it before, you can pick the one that, the one that has more number of users, right? So let's say we look at this one. You can see 1,600 installers, 11,000 something. So this is how you can pick the best one here, because you've not used it before, right? So you are just going to judge by this number of installers. For people to be installing, this kind of number of users means that it's actually giving a better, better results, right? So you can choose all this. You can see 154 installers. So doing all this, you can use this one, but these ones are paid version. You can use it to allow you to use for 30 days. After 30 days, you start paying for it. Some, I don't know, some maybe $100, depending on how much it is. So you can explore all these things and pay for it if you want them. But if you don't want to use digital one, maybe your company does not have the money to pay for all these things, you can do it manually. As a Scrum Master, you can do it manually by creating something like this to manage your team, right? So you creating a Excel format is the same thing, right? Just that one automates by itself and all that. So what do you do in capacity planning? Of course, you put the name of your team members and their roles. So for my team, I have front end, back end, and product design, right? So tester. Now the hours they are working per day. Of course, normal working hours is usually 8 hours per day. That is standard. Right? So now allocation means 100%. Of course, people that are working 100%, like 8 hours, anyone that's working 8 hours per day means it's 100%, right? 4 hours means 50%. That means working half day and all that. So this is the legend here. So legend here means that this red one, where you see red column with 0, means that there's a public holiday. This is what it means, holidays / vacation. Then this one now means non-working day. These are non-working days. So possibly Saturday and Sunday, you can see. Then active sprints that have this color of green and all that. So that's the legend for that. Then you do all that and be able to experience. So then another thing that is very, very important. So when you do all this, you need to consider what they call ceremony time. All the ceremony time you're going to use, consider maybe sprint planning, all the events, Scrum events you are considering, including product backlog grooming and all that. You do that. Then there's what they call focus factor. Some people call it the time that the team, is focused in building, the time commitments and all that. So, but me, I call it focus factor. It's the same thing. Focus factor means the time, the maximum time that the team or the individual who is working on that product is focused on just building that product, not by pressing phone. So not during the lunch break, not when he's checking his email, responding to email, or maybe on an error and all that other stuff. So you have to minus it out, right? You need to put it into consideration before you can do this. But please let me let you know one thing. If you're working with a startup, rather a new team who are new to Agile team, right? If you're working with people who are new to Agile team, right? This focus factor, the highest you can have, some people used to have their own 95. Let's assume I have this to 95. Right? If I have this as 95, right? So some people have to do this one is usually for most experienced. When you have like when I mean experienced developers, they've been working on this product, like they've been working on working in your team for let's say for maybe more than 1 year, you'll be managing them. So you already know that they are already experienced, like 4 years experience, not a new developer who is just learning now, or maybe an intern, right? You can use 95 for them, you can use 90 for them, you can use 80. But then if your company has, sometimes some company has this template, their own templates and all that. So if they give you their template and maybe in their template is you see 97 or 80, please don't change it, use that 80, right? So this means when the team development in their focus, doing the work. So this does not include the lunch break. Lunch break is not involved. This is the only time that they are very focused in building these products. Let's say Wisdom is just committed, 80%, focus and all that. So at the end, you get this is maximum time is going to commit to deliver product. But then when you're working with people who are new to Agile, maybe interns, you're working with interns, please keep this at 70%, right? Their focus factor may not likely go beyond 70%. Why? Why will you use 70%? Or yeah, keep it at 70%. If you're working with interns or maybe people who are just new to software development, or maybe even when the team are new to that product and they don't have much experience, please limit it to 70%. Why would you limit to 70%? Of course, one is this: they are going to be making some mistakes because they are learning, right? They're going to be making some mistakes because they are learning, right? You don't expect somebody who has maybe 6 months experience to be faster, or to deliver a code, software development project as to write a code as fast as somebody who is already 4 years experience. So of course they need to be making some mistakes and all that. So that's why you need to consider them as 70%. Give them their focus factor 70%, so like to reduce their commitments, their final capacity, right? So if I change this guy to let's say 90, look at what happened. So it means that person with higher, people with more experienced developers will have higher capacity, like right availability to commit. But somebody with 70% focus means is just new to that product, right? They don't have much experience, so their time commitment is not going to be much. So this one will be enough if you're working with maybe startup or interns. So always try to use 70 or 75% at most. Peg them at 75. You're working with interns or people with 1 year experience and all that, right? So you do all this. So at the end, you have the final capacity you are going to use. So what this thing means, this value means here is that this particular, each of these developers, no matter how much work you're going to give them or they're going to select during sprint planning, none of them will go beyond this. Let's say Wisdom is the first person here. Wisdom cannot commit. This is the total availability, the total man hours our Wisdom can commit for that, even if it's a 2 week sprint. Okay, yeah, this is a 2 week sprint. Please, this you can do for 3 week sprints, 1 week, depending on what your company is doing. So this is a 2 week sprint. You can see week 1, then week 2. So this is a 2 week sprint. Capacity planning for 2 week sprint. So if it's a 4 week sprint, you can change, plan for 4 weeks. Now, it means that the maximum hour Wisdom can commit for the whole of this 2 week sprint is, excuse me, 45.56 hours. That is the highest you can work, right? Why the other person, so may work, another person depending on all that. So it means that any work you are going to assign, any task that Wisdom is going to, the workload the Wisdom is going to have must not exceed 45.5 hours or percent. In Jira will translate this as percent, right? So must not exceed 45.56% for Wisdom for the whole of these 2 weeks. Once you exceed this, that means you have overload Wisdom. It means that Wisdom will not be able to meet up with its velocity, will not be able to deliver, if Wisdom is, accept work more than 45.6%, it means that he may not be able to deliver maybe 56 because why he has exceeded his capacity. So Scrum Master, this is where you comes in when doing sprint planning to ensure that these guys, your developers, does not exceed their capacity. It's very, very important that you know it. So I will show you guys how to do this. That is why I told us now that story points is different from time estimation, right? So this is where you make use of time estimation. So you use time estimation to track the workload of your team, of your developers. While story point is used for relative estimate of each of the user stories, right? So these guys, they are breaking down tasks now. So when I go back to Jira, I will show you guys something. So but note that time is for developers. You need to track the workload of your team. While story points is for relative estimate for the user stories. So this one can be used. You can use this one for the task that is broken down like subtask and task, right? While story points is only for you mainly use it for story user story. So I'll go back to this guy's board now. Click on projects. Click on projects. I think this is the work you're doing. Right. So now I'll go to backlog. Right. So now two things I want us to be clear about now. One is story points. Where do you use story points? Now, these are user stories, right? None of them, there's no task here. All these are user stories, right? So note that the user story, so I want to consider a user story as how do you picture this one now? So I want to consider each of these user stories now. I want to consider them as, let's say, okay, now consider this user story as your phone, like a complete phone. Each of these user story is a complete phone, right? Of course, your phone has so many components, so many parts, right? Right. So now to make up this phone now, just see it as that user story is your phone now. Now, this user story now, so the developers are going to go and use story points, go to Fibonacci planning poker to do a relative estimate for how. So developers will go to planning poker, do the relative estimates. So for each of them, this user story, like they are going to consider things like the risk to take them to deliver this users to the workload involved here, right? There's so many steps. Like now, this one has 4 acceptance criteria. This one may have more than 4 acceptance criteria. Let's say you can see this one is more than that. So you cannot expect this user story to be the same story points as this one, right? So developers, including tester, they will all be there to look at it by voting, to have a kind of agreement that okay, we are choosing 5 story points. We are giving this user story a relative estimate of 5 story points. So the reason is that maybe they've considered the risk, they've considered that they're going to do back end, the front end, the needs. They're also going to do design and all that before the tester. So these are things they're going to consider. Now, after they have considered all this now, remember I said this is their phone, right? These are the estimate for that phone now, 5 story points. That's the workload, like the estimate for this phone. Now, for them to work on the component of this phone now, let's assume we have let's say 3 developers here now that is going to work on this phone now. For them to work on this phone now, they need to break down this phone now to pieces into pieces, like component by component, right? So now to break down this phone into component by component, this is where you have subtask. You create a subtask now. So the components are going to break now. Let's assume now we're going to have a designer, right? Phone designer, maybe phone pack. Let's say design phone pack. Okay, design the screen. Let's say design the phone screen, right? That is the first task that is developers are going to do to achieve this user story, to achieve this phone, right? Then the next task now maybe uh, uh, develop or rather create a battery cover. Then the next thing I would say maybe uh, let's say maybe which other works let's say create uh maybe let's say create a I have anything against what is free. So let's say create a okay, create the screen, create a touchpad. Let's say touchpad, right? Something like this. Then the next task that they will need to do to deliver this phone now, to create a phone now. Remember, I said see this as a phone, not testimonies. Now the next task that they will create now have this phone now. Let's say you can say test the keyboard. Okay, test the touchpad. Touchpad, right? Then maybe we can have another thing, maybe develop inbuilt speaker. Then the next one, create a front camera. So something like this nature now. So these are the tasks. These are the tasks that the development team are going to do. On this, just one user story, you can see that's about 6 tasks or so. So now these are the tasks now. It means that for this phone now, this testimony already, for this phone to complete now, to come to life, right? For this phone now to come to life, they must go through all this process. These are development, the building process now for this phone now. Remember, it's one user story, but how are they going to do to have this phone, come to life? Now, so this is where you track the workload of your team now. Of course, they've given this guy as 5 story point now, as relative estimate. The whole of this user story now, they say is 5. Now, the tasks, now these are the top tasks. Now. So this is where you use time. Because why you're going to assign each of these tasks now. For developers, I've told you maybe Wisdom said is going to be the one to work on this one. Wisdom will assign itself. Let's ask what am I going to see here? Dummy will assign itself here. Right. So now what you are going to do under this place now, you open this card. If you open it, you're going to see something here. There's what they call original time estimate. This is where you're going to do original time estimate. So this is where you now ask the dummy, because it's not, you have more than one developer working on this user story. You can see more than one developer is working on this user story, right? All of them have the task or the particular work they're going to do to complete this user story. Let's assume dummy is here. I have a JTech here. I have let's say Benita here, and I have Emma here. Emma here, and I have let's say I have Judah here, right? So now you now go ahead and ask Scrum Master will ask Judah, sorry, ask Dami, how long will it take you to create this, to design this phone pack? Let's say phone frame, let's say frame, right? How long will it take you? Now ask Dami now, how long will it take you to design this frame? That will tell you to take me 48 hours, or let's say, yeah, let me say 18 hours to create this. You type 18 hours. 18 hours now, Jira will convert this thing because its original time is tracking the workload now. It's to convert this thing to day. Remember, 8 hours make 1 day. So it's going to, Jira will convert this guy. So if I click on it, to convert 18 hours to how many, 1 day and some, let's say how many days it will be. Please, can you off your camera? So you can see now, 18 hours is what I put here. 18 hours, right? I click enter. Jira will convert 18 hours to 2 days and 2 hours, meaning that, remember, so that's the 16 hours make 2 days, right? So remember 2 hours. So that means it will take Dami 2 days and 2 hours to create this form pack, right? Now we'll go another one, go and look for the next person. Look for the next person. Ask JTech now. JTech, how long will it take you now? How many hours will it take you to deliver this, to create a battery cover? You tell us, this one, it will take me maybe 6 hours. Let's say, let me just 13 hours, right? To put 13 hours, you will see it there, right? So you can see how it's working now. Now, you do the same for all of them. So you do the same for all of them. I just want to show us how that workload works. Now, you do the same for all of them. Or let's say, who is this person now? Create top pack. I don't know this person. So. Okay, so ask Benita. Benita will tell you that to create a top touchpad. Oh, sorry. Touchpad that you take maybe where is that name? So let's say Benita will say to take maybe 24 hours. Put it there, right? You do the same. So this is how Scrum Master will be asking them, will be assigning all this time tracking for them. Now, let me just complete all of them so that I think I've assigned to Benita now. Assigned to this guy. I'm not going to do more than this one so that we don't waste more time. So this guy say, let's say 45 hours, enter, right? So you track and all that. Let's say this guy said it will take him 16 hours, including tester. This is how they will be doing it. So you are going, this is how you'll be able to track their workload, who is working and who is not, who is beating up another. So this last person said maybe uh you have let's say 30, 31 hours, right? I don't know what it is. So 3 days, 7 days. Now, so I haven't done this now. Remember, I'm assuming that these 5 people I just used now, there are these people on this, there are these developers here, right? And their availability is this, right? But I'm not going to do everything. So I'll just take this thing, these few ones I've done now. For me to track this, for me to get their workload of these guys now, because these are much user stories, I will not be able to do for all of them. So I'll just say, I'll just go ahead. So what I will do for me to track their workload, go to dashboard. I need to go and create a dashboard. So I'm going to use this dashboard now to cover, to create dashboard here now. See how we are touching all these things now. So I'll touch dashboard right now. So I'll go to dashboard for me to track their workload, right? To know who is, who is maybe who has, taking more than what he can carry and all that. I'll go to dashboard, create a dashboard. So to create a dashboard, you go to this place, click dashboard, create dashboard. So in there, write the name of the sprint, your team, say sprint craft, right? Then you can name it, maybe further description, maybe sprint 5. Don't know, whatever you like, name it. Let's say sprint 5. You can add further description and all that. So here now, these viewers now, who do you want to see? If it's on private, it means that it's only you that can see the dashboard. No matter how many people that are on this Jira board, they will not see. It's only you that is seeing it. The same applies to who can edit. If you keep it as private, it's only you that can do everything. So when you are satisfied with whatever you want to save, click on save. It's open widget for you. So this is a dashboard. This thing, if you know how to see, I want to consider it as a what's it called? If you know how to use Power BI, data analytics, this is what they are going to do, right? So I'm going to present something that is going to look like what all those dashboard you are seeing, maybe reporting using data to interpreting data with charts. That's what we're going to have here. So the first thing I'm going to do, right? So you can change the widget the way you want. The first thing I'm going to do now, I'll go and select because I want to track the workload now. I'll type here workload. So this is how you track your workload. You track the workload of your team. Now click on this. It will appear here. So when you appear, you can see this one filter. So I have to put the project name. I think this is a. Huh? Let's see if I know. Sorry. Okay, I think this is the project name. Now assignee. Now what do you want to track? What kind of statistics? Oh, there's no. Oh, let me know the project. Let me go and look for name of this project. Sorry, please. Screencraft now. Why is not showing? Okay, it's already here. So I'll go down. So what I want to, because I want to track the team, right? Statistics type, you can change it to whatever you want. But here, what my interest is on the individual who is working on this task, right? I'll leave it as assignee. Now, what do I want to track? This one is telling me time feed to report. So what I want to track is please mute yourself. What I want to track is the original time estimate, not time spent, not current estimates, but original time estimate. That's what I want to track. I enter. Then do I want this thing to refresh? If you want to set 30 minutes, 1 hour, anyhow, then I will save. Look at what is going to appear here now. Now it's going to appear it's going to show me the workload that they have estimated. You can see unassigned. Now it must work now from what we have just said. Please look at this thing very well. This one is not showing me the story points I added though. It's only showing me the original estimate. You can see Ima was 1 week, 5 days. You can see JTech is 1 day, 5 hours, right? Judah 2 days and all that. So let me save this thing and go back. I'll come back here for you to see that user story point is different from is for relative estimate to size the user story, considering the workload that is involved, the risk and that's involved there. But timing is for you to track the estimates to know if your team is being overused, the workload of your team, right? So I'll save this now and go back. I'll come back here. Let me go back so that you don't say I did not explain this thing better to you, because I don't want to be seeing people making the mistake of using story points, time as story points. Please, now I will just assign story points here. Remember, this is one we there's 5 story points here, but you do not see anywhere where that board is showing 5. I'll assign maybe 8 here. I'll just be moving further. 8, let's say 13, 2. This one is 3. Now you can see it's increasing here because this is the project scope, right? Story point is your scope. When we get to velocity, it will be clearer. Now I'll go back again. There's no how you're going to see this scope. All these ones appear in this dashboard I just created. Not this one. This is another one I created for this team before. All right, so don't worry, we'll do this. So now you can see you are not seeing anything like 5 here, 5 story point and all that. All these things are the time I assigned to these guys before, right? If you check Benita has 3 days. Let me go and show you from that place. So you'll be sure that so that you don't make this mistake and be telling me that you were not taught. No. So let's open this. Let's look up Benita. Benita is showing 3 days there. Benita, that is this. This is Benita. You can see 3 days. So it's showing us the original estimate of Benita. I can decide to log this guy now. So time spent and all that, how many days is many. If I've started my work now, this is how the Scrum Master will be tracking them. If I started work, like I can say time spent so far now. Let's say I spent 6 hours. I will log this time. I save, right? You can see it's now reading for me. So it's not counting how many days that's meant for Benita to complete this task. So this is how Scrum Master will know. Benita, how far? You have 2 hours, 2 days remaining and all that. This is how you know if your team are working or not. So 2 days remaining and all that. So you can say I just log in time for time tracking for Benita. So I'll go back to the dashboard. I've explained this one now. So now remember I said we are considering the capacity, the workload, considering this thing, but I cannot do all this because of time. Now you can see, look, this thing Jira usually show them in percentage, right? So it means that this person, their limit should not be 45, more than 45 point something. So coming here now, let's see the workload of this dummy now. You can see, put your cursor here, you see, dummy is 12%. You can see the workload 12%, right? So depending on what you plan here, maybe that means workload here was maybe 15% or 11%. If you are not seeing, let's say that means workload here is 10% for that particular 2 week sprint. And here you are seeing that means having 12%. What do you need to do? You need to ask the development team, please, okay, you now have to look at all these people who has vacancy or who has more available, who can take more, who has more availability. So that the person you can transfer some work to that person to in order not to overlabor them. Or you ask the team, of course, they know how to do it. They can say, okay, I'll finish my own in 2 days. I still have, I'm still free. Give me some work. So Scrum Master will now go back to this board and remove, maybe reduce 2 hours work from dummy and give it to maybe JTech. You can see that their percentage of work is different based on their workload. You can see Ima will have the highest. You can see 30%. This one is unassigned. 21% of. So this is how you do time tracking and workload estimate. Now going forward to create to continue creating dashboard. So like I told us, is that you can use dashboard to visualize what is happening in every in your sprint, in your Jira projects. You can use it to visualize everything in just one space. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to add in some things. I can decide to check the burn down charts here. I'll just click edit, and I'll be adding, let's say I type in on this gadget burn down charts. I'll sprint burn down chart for this project. I think this board is Lucy Finance. That is Lucy Finance. So if you want to see the name of the sprint, so what I tracking, you're tracking for sprint 5. Interval, do you want this to refresh? You can say 30 minutes refresh. You save. It will appear here. Right. So I'm building a chart now. You can decide to a lot of things. So you can play with all these ones. What is important to me again? Sprint duration. I don't think it will appear. Time boss. Sprints. Days remain. It may not appear. I don't know if this sprint is. I don't think this finance project is still ongoing. You can see saying 0 days remaining. All right. So now sprint health check. can add a lot of things here. Let's say I add gadgets. If I want to, you know, you save. That's actually very simple to do. Will tell you the statistics, the health of your sprint and all that. Coming here, you can decide to select as many as you want that you know that is valuable to you as a scrum master. I don't just be wake up and picking anything. Anything that you know that is valuable for you, issue statistics. If I want to know how many issues that have been completed and all that, search the project sprints. So here now, select which type of statistics. So if you want to see how many issues that is being assigned to people, you can see it here. If you want to see, maybe check the sprint statistics. That's what you're interested in. You can select sprint. Now, how do you want to start total? You can say 10, then ascending or descending, anyone you like, right? So you can say updates. If you don't want, if you don't check that with no updates. So you can see. So this is sprint 1. We did the sprint 3, count and all that. So if I want to see how, let me edit this. If you want to edit, click on configure. Let me see what I want. So I want to see status. Click save. Let's see the status of the sprints. So you can see they have 1 card in progress, 2 in testing. Then sprint backlog. This sprint backlog is saying 46 sprint backlog. This one is saying total of the total sprint backlog, like backlog that they have in their sprint from beginning of this project and all that. Right. So this is how you can be doing all that. So when you are done, let's add one more thing. Assigning, track assigning. Let's see if we can track assigning. Let's see what it shows. So manual 1%. So you can also assign it like to know how many people that are, how many amount of work we have assigned to the team, right? So you can see unassigned 37. So this person has 16 story card to his name. Then Oyin has only 1. Emmanuel has 1. Why are they having 1? Because they are all assigned under just one user story. But JTech has been, because he's the developer, he has been working on many user stories. That's why he has so many. Then unassigned, this is the number of unassigned, that's 7 story points unassigned, right? So you can use this to monitor a lot of things and also share information to your stakeholders. So if you put your cursor, it will tell you how many, all these things, you can do that. So now let's assume I added recently created, and let's say add recently created. Update daily. Let's see, update daily. Yeah. So now you can see all the cards, everything is just on one side. Now I want to rearrange them. All you just need to do, just pan it this way. Right. I'm going to create a dashboard now. This Power BI dashboard, similar something. That's what I'm creating now. You can use it to interpret data and all that. Right. So with this, you should be able to make quick decision by looking at. So a good Scrum Master, most times you come to work, you must open this thing every day, right? You must, in fact, your dashboard must be on, because as their team are working, you are seeing the updates here, like everything that is going on. Once somebody move a card, you must see it here, right? So I can decide to change this guy. So something like, so when I'm done, if I'm satisfied that I'm done with this, I can decide to change these gadgets. Let's say come here. No, not gadgets. So I can decide to change. So when you are done, I can start to change the layout. Of course, these are only 2 layouts. I can start to make it 3 by clicking this one. It will change to 3, right? So now it's 3. So let's say we use this one. So it's 3 now. Let's say we did it 3, 3. So something like this. Let me just add one more so that it completes. We'll soon end the lecture. Almost there. Let me just add one more thing. Yeah. Okay, so let me add creative resource resolve. Project sprints. daily. So show me daily updates, right? So I want to count, right? Display time trend. Yeah, I want to see time trend. So you just need to take your time and look at it and see how, choose the ones you want and all that. So now look at what I just added now, right? So I can now be able to use this guy. Now you're fine. So when I'm done, I click done. You can see. So they are all charts. So with this, please know that you can always rename this. All these things you are seeing here, you can name them according to what they represent, right? So you can say, for you to do this, you click on edit, right? To rename, you can rename all this card by clicking on these dots here. Remove this one. To rename this guy, click on these dots. You can see rename. So you name this one Spring Bundle Charts for Sprint 5, right? Sprint 5. Then you click enter. It will rename. So rename them to anything that you think there is comfortable to you. You can rename this one to workload for Spring Crafting, right? Name. So can play with all this. So when you are done, this is how you can create a dashboard. As a Scrum Master, of course, this is actually your go-to, the first place you every time when you come to work, you must always open this at least to know. With this, you can see everything that is going on happening in your project. If you like managing 10 projects at a time, you'll be seeing everything here, right? When somebody make a move, you see this zero here means that the sprint has ended, like time was at the lapse and all that. So this is how you do this. Now we have covered dashboard. So let's look at the next thing that is remaining here. Roadmap, done that. Capacity planning, done that. So release planning in Jira. Now, how do we do release planning? We're going to do release planning now. After that, we'll talk about how to use team velocity. And after that, we'll talk about these estimates, how to write stakeholder. We've done that. Oh, bug report. So dashboard, we'll talk about dashboard, retro, and link dependency. So I'm going to do release planning now and the link dependencies. So I'll go back to Jira. Now, if you want to plan release, right? So go to backlog. For you to plan your release, of course, I'll explain how release is from this place. So from this, you can see this is our release one. These are the user stories we want to see under release one. And this is the name of our release, like the goal of this release one. Now release two now. This is the user stories we want to plan, want to release for our release two, right? And all that. So you put them, of course, you need to have the time for the release now, all that. You put the dates. So to do this now, I'm not going to use this user story board, rather I'm going to use user stories that are already on Jira board. So what I'm going to do for you to create release on Jira, it's actually simple. Person that creates release is the product owner, please. Product owner is the person that, we create the roadmap, release plan, product vision, right? And, lead the sprint planning. While Scrum Master will take care of capacity planning, dashboard. For dashboard, anybody can make use of it, both Scrum Master and the product owner. But most times, usually by Scrum Master normally use it most times, but product owner does not even have that time. Then the next thing Scrum Master will do here is to facilitate meetings, all the events, Scrum events, and also the burn down chart and burn up report and all that, velocity chart and all those things. Then also the product owner will use velocity, be able to use the velocity to estimate the sprint, the project duration. So we'll get to that. But right now, let's do release planning and velocity estimation. So to do release planning, what you need to do first, as a Scrum Master, as a product owner, you need to come there. If you come here, you see where they write release. So releases means, of course, I've explained your iteration. How do you want to release that first increment? That is your first sprint, second sprint. What are the things you want to release in your first sprint? Like the user stories you want to have in your first sprint. That you want to, like the increments you want to have in your first sprint. So you come here, the first thing you need to do, come here and click create release. That means we've covered a lot in this team, Springcraft. So we created a release here before. Now, I need to create another one. So in Jira, I usually call version. So if you see where they write create version, click on it, it's seen as release. So I want to create a new release now. Click, let's say I name this one release 2. Release 2, right? So of course, over here, you know that your release have a start date and finish date, right? You can put the dates here you want to start release. But then most times you can use the sprint dates, the day you start your sprint, depending on the the user stories. Let's assume now all these user stories you have here, they were able to, you have them in one sprint. If you have them in one sprint, of course, you can use the sprint dates, the start date of this sprint and the end date of this sprint to release it, right? So let's assume this is a 2-week sprint. We're going to consider Jira is too technical. I know it's going to show me some error sign now, but then no problem, we'll do it. Let's say I put Monday 19th as the start date of this iteration of this increment. Then the end date is going to be on the 4th. 1, 2. Oh no, on the is 1 now. That's on the 1st. That's end date. So you can add description. Let's assume now I'll just come here and paste this. I'll paste this thing here. So you can add further description, like the goal and all that, anything you like there, you can add. So just to, to buttress more on this, I'll just paste this as the release goal, right? Now, I'll click save. Of course, you can see now this is our new release I just created, right? So I just created this new release now. You can see there's no issues yet. I've not added, the progress bar is still empty, but the start date and the end date is still showing here. But I've not added anything, so it's still showing on release, right? So for me to do this now, what I will do now, I'll go back to backlog, right? So when I click on backlog now, for me to see, I want to see my release here. I'll click, open this and check box this guy on it. You can see. Now, when I on this release now, I'll now be able to have the release 2, right? So over here, you can see the goal of this release. Then completed 0. Estimate now. So estimate is kind of project scope, project-based release now. Estimate is going to use story points. So because there's no story point, I'm not adding any story points here. It's showing 0. So am I going to add this release now? So to add release to this release 2 now, from this my backlog now, or the sprints, I don't want to use sprint planning. I don't want to use this guy because I know it will give me error sign because of this start date and finish dates. Right, but then let me see if I can edit the start date and finish dates. So just to avoid comment. Okay, let me just add it first. Let's show me the error signs. Look at it. So now for me to do this, all I just need to do now, remember it's showing 0, you have no issue. So for me to add this, because I said these are the user stories. These are the user stories I want, like, so I'm assuming that these are the user stories, that these user stories are the same as these ones, right? So these are the ones I want to have in my release 2. All I just need to do, I'll just, where I want to move everything, I'll mark them up. Then I will drag it. You can see, then I will drag it and drop it here. Now open this again. Oh, it did not enter. Why? Why do you want me to do manual now? Oh, now I see what's going on here. These are the user stories. This one I selected. They have already planned for them in version 1. No, not really. It's not that one. Where is not moving? Okay, so it's, I wanted to move them at once, but since it's not working, so I'll do and that. I'll just go and pick them one after the other. So I wanted to pan everything once. Let me see if I can push it. this one. Telling me to express list too. So now what I will do now, I'll come here. So what I will do now, you can see. So what I will do now, for me to go and assign is I open each of the card manually and come down here. This is the right feed drum. I'll select, I'll click on it and it will load for me. I'll select release. You can see release 2 is already here. So I'll select it. And that's all, right? I wanted to do everything one, but it's not allowing me to do everything one. So I'll be pushing it one after the other now, manually. Come here, fixed version. So you put it as release 2, right? So you select for all of them, all the user stories that you want for that release 2. So you do them manually. Sorry guys, this one takes time. I wanted to move everything once, but I don't know why it's not working. So you select. So if you're hearing of release plan, this is how you do release plan in Nigeria. Please, it's not a big deal. This is how you do release plan, right? So when you are done, pick the next one. And that's it. So now let's go and look for that version 2 again. Or if you can't find it here, you can see now they've all come out now, right? It has appeared now. Now, how many story points do we have here? We're having estimate 21 story points. So let's count this. Now it's actually 21, right? So look here. This one means this 15 means the ones that are already still in backlog. They're not yet in progress. Why this 6 means the story that are this blue color means that they're already in progress. 0 means like no story has been completed, no card has been moved to done, right? So it will total. So the estimate of this release for this particular release now, that is this release 1 now. Total story point now, or the scope, or total story point is 21 story point. That's what it's giving. So the summation of this story point now, that's what it's giving us. So let's assume if I add 2 here now, it will increase. You can see. So this is how you do release planning and all that. So of course, you know the dates. Product owner, if you're asked, so when are you planning to release, you should be able to tell that my release date or tentative date to release is possible is this day and all that. So what are you releasing? How many story points or what's the scope of your release? You tell them that for this team that my team we are releasing 23 story point. That is how many user stories here that are total user story here is 23. So that's how many work they're going to do. So now as you are moving this card, so let's assume this sprint is ongoing. Let's assume I move this card to this particular card to done. So if I move a card to done, you will see what it will make some changes here. You can see 13 story points has been completed, right? Let's assume I move another one. I move another one. It will be increasing, right? Until it gets to 100%. So for it to get to 100%, that is only, so when it gets to 100%, that's where, hold on, before I do this, I want you guys to understand what is actually happening here. You can see, initially this one was blue bar throughout. Now, why is turning green? Because some card already moved to done. That means like the team have started completing the work gradually, right? So until it gets to this 100% now, so it's telling that 2 has completed, remaining 6. So okay, 2 out of 6, right? Now until all these cards are all of them to done, that's the only way this bar will complete. And it's once it's turned fully green, that means it's due for release, right? I'll be turning it down. Now you can see it's fully green. Now you can see it's 6/6. Now let's open again and see what happens here. So that's to say that 100% work has been completed. So for me to release this now, if I want to release now, of course you can also see your release in your timeline, like in your roadmap. It's always there. Sprint 5. I think this. Let's look for this release. you can see release 2, right? So this is a new release that we just planned now, right? So now that is all about how to talk about release and all that. So now the next thing that we're going to look at before I come back to linking dependency and others is how do you estimate, this is your full backlog now, right? You have a team, please pay attention to this one very, very much time. Please pay attention to this. Now, this is your full backlog. Let's assume you are your team, a product owner. This is a new project you guys want to work, right? Now, and this is your backlog development. Now, estimated all the backlog item here. Let's assume I can assign. Let me just say I can assign, like I'm assuming that the whole of this user story here has been estimated, like by assigning numbers to all of them. I don't want to assign numbers to them because of time, right? So I'm assuming that all this user story has been estimated in this backlog. Now, and the team have started their first sprint, right? They started their first sprint. So let's assume that this story point, the whole of story point now, I'm going to illustrate for a set. I have a set format for it, right? So release plan and velocity and all that. I'll do it from here. Now, how are you going to forecast how many sprints or how long it will take your team to complete this sprint? So like I said, all this has been estimated fully, right? They've assigned story point, all of them. So that means you know the scope, total story point for this, right? So let's assume that total story point for the whole of this backlog item now is, let me go to the Excel. So I'm assuming that that backlog item is the whole of this, right? I have 40 here, right? So let's assume, let me reduce this number. 21, 13, let's make this one 13. Yeah, make this one 21. Let's make this one 8, right? Make this one. Don't worry, guys, I will explain to you guys. I just want to. So I'm assuming that this user stories now, all of them have been estimated, right? Product owner and development team, they've done the grooming and they've estimated every user story here. Of course, it's usually actually not really possible. They've estimated all this. How was they, like, they were able to estimate it based on maybe their previous experience with some similar project and all that. So they were able to estimate all this, assign user story. Now, how can, and also for the first sprint, now they've studied their first sprints, and in their first sprints, they selected this is their first sprints, right? So their first sprints for this sprint, out of this story, the whole of this backlog, they move about 6 user stories to sprint, to their sprints 1, and their velocity or their scope, the total story points for that particular sprint is 23. That's what is happening here. Now, I'm coming. So here now, from these charts, this is the total story points for this card, right? So how am I going to estimate, to forecast how this sprint is going to go, right? So the first thing I will have to come here and put total story points, which is 204 as total story points. Now, I'm going to divide this. So this is the first sprint that I've started now. This one I just showed you guys. This is the first sprint that I've started, and the story point here is 21. Own example is not analysis to turn it to 21. So I'm assuming now, so this is the only estimate that the team did for, the estimate that the development team did for the first sprint that they are currently doing, right? Of course, we've done that the first sprint, the team, they selected that, okay, their total story point for that first sprint is going to be 20. If you total this, it's going to give you 20, right? That is, so their scope now, their velocity, their potential velocity now for this sprint. Why I say potential is because they've not closed the sprint yet, right? We just want to estimate, right? So now the potential velocity now, because they may likely not be able to finish it at the end of the sprint, is 20. So now, knowing that 20 is what the development now able to work for the first sprint, so you are going to divide this total story points by 20, which will give you this, right? So this is going to give you for the first sprint now, it's going to give you so it's going to give you if you divide by 20, it's going to give you total 10.2 sprints, right? So I don't know why this is approximation. So let's assume we're going to say this is 10 sprints. Now total sprints, it will take them to deliver the whole of this product backlog item now. it's going to take them 10 sprints. That's what this mathematics is all about here. This means that it's going to take them 10 sprints to deliver the whole of this that we have here. Now, but because when you are doing this, you're going to consider another thing like how many days, like how many week sprint are they running? Are they running 1 week sprint or 2 week sprints? Right. So now, because the thing they are running 2 week sprint, I'm going to multiply this. Right. I'm going to multiply this, multiply the time of the sprints, right? Multiply by this value. So I multiply it by I multiply this total sprint now by this value, right? So I multiply the total sprint now, 10 weeks, 10 sprints now by they're running 2 week sprints. I'll multiply by this one. It will give me the time estimate now in terms of weeks. So this one is going to give me 20 weeks for these guys to deliver this project, right? So it's going to give me 20 weeks now for these guys to deliver this project. So now, but then if you are doing this, remember 20 weeks, we'll turn it to how many sprints it's going to give us. But then there's what they call buffer, right? So as a product owner, project manager, product manager, you must consider anytime you are planning, you're doing your planning. If you are doing Microsoft, know how to use Microsoft project, you must consider buffer. Buffer means like the maximum, like the available time, like that you have, you are going to consider that cover up for maybe any risk, unforeseen circumstances, like any risk that comes up. For this software, let's say for technical depth, you consider buffer. So the extra time you're going to use to make up all this, to do that rework and all that, do the testing, fix all the bug and all that, without it being affecting the product, the time you are going to use to deliver the product. You must consider buffer. So let's assume I'm considering buffer of 8 weeks now, right? But then if you're considering buffer, you need to tell the stakeholders that your buffer is 8 weeks or 4 weeks, so that they will not, you need to be transparent to them. Tell them why you are considering 4 weeks and all that. Maybe to avoid, to cover up for maybe any risk, like any technical depths, time the team will fail to fix the bug, or maybe there's any change of scope, it will not affect your project when you're doing this. So now I'll consider, let's I reduce this to 4 weeks, right? So when I reduce this to 4 weeks now, for me to get the total sprint now, right? For me to get the total time estimate now for this sprint, for me to complete the whole of these user stories now, what I will now do, this buffer now, which is for, of course, I know that total time estimate for total sprint now is 20 here. So I will now put here is going to give me, here will now be 20 weeks. Forget that, let me just say put 0.4 now. So total estimate now will now be 20, this 20 weeks now plus 4, right? So for me to get this now, my total estimate will now be, let's say, plus this, right? So it means that it will take us 24 weeks, right, to deliver the whole of this user story. I'm assuming that it's this one, 24 weeks. So now it is not left for you, the product owner, now to analyze what is 24 weeks now. How many months is it you have in 24 weeks and all that? So from this, of course, you're running 2 week sprints. So 1 month is 4 weeks, have we? So that we have 6 months to deliver the whole of, to deliver this MVP. Right. So this is how you do this rough estimates. You are doing forecast, right? So it means that per sprint, you are assuming that per sprint, that the next sprint that your development are not going to work more than 20 story points. The velocity will still be 20. That's what this thing means. But then please know that this estimate can change with time. Like as the project is ongoing, it's unfolding, changes can occur. Maybe if the development team, they are not able to meet up with the commitments, right? Of course, that is when you do this. The velocity can change, right? So now let's go back to Jira board and look at how velocity is. So for you to get a velocity is actually amount of work committed against completed, right? So now for you to see a velocity of your team, you go to reports, right? Go to, is it? It can only be visible for if you have already like completed your first sprint. That's the only way you can have a velocity when you have completed your first sprint. So we are assuming that my team have completed the first sprint here. Right. So now come here, click on this. I'll see the velocity that these guys have been running since. Let's see their velocity. Ah, what happened here? So sprint 1, they didn't complete anything in sprint 1. Sprint 3, the commitment was 83 point and completed 0. Wow, this is serious. Then sprint 4, the commitment was 4. So that means developer committed 4 story point, completed 3 story point. So you judging by this velocity, now we can see that the velocity. So for you to get the velocity, you take the average of these three. Let's assume now. So this one is going to be 0 plus 0 plus 3, right? Because what was completed is 3. So now the velocity of this team velocity is 3 story points. So we're going to come here and use 3 now. Oh, this is serious. We're going to use 3 to do this. I'll consider 3 here. You can see this one is telling us total sprint is 68. So check now, we're having 140 weeks to deliver this MVP, right? So this is how you forecast and be able to plan and tell your stakeholders, give your stakeholder information. Okay, maybe in 4 weeks time, 8 weeks time, we should be able to deliver this product because you already estimated everything, right? So this is how you do it using velocity, and it's usually based on story points. Now, how do you manage scope in during release planning? Now, let's assume, let me go back to that release planning. I'll go back to projects. So let's say this is backlog now on release 2. Now, oh, this card I've moved it on. So let's assume now, right? So for first release now, let's say your first release, you told your stakeholder, because anything you are doing, you need to be informing them the date of your release, your first release. How long is it going to take for your first release? You tell them. Second release, you tell them. Let's assume that they tell you, no, it's too much. Or that we want this project to be 2 months project. Everything must be delivered in 2 months. So you have to replan your work. You need to go and replan and also replan your release planning by either by reducing the scope or by increasing the scope. Now, let's assume they told us that this project is going to just last for 2 months to deliver this project, maybe everything here, of course. So for you to do this, as I call it, time-based. So now let's say they give us 2 months to deliver this project. Now, of course, 2 months is 8 weeks. And your team is running 2 weeks past 2 weeks sprint, which is going to give us four sprints, right? Now, for you to do this, for you to know how long, how many story points or how many releases your team will be able, how many story points your team will be able to comply as release, they will be able to do within these 2 months. How many releases will they be able to do? It's just simple. What you're going to do, you now say that 8 weeks now, right? So of course, you need to consider the velocity of your team also, which is 20. But this time I'm considering 3 as the velocity. Remember where I got a 3 from. So I'm considering 3 now as the velocity now. So how am I going to do this? For me to do this, you said, so before we sprint now, okay, so for you to do this now, since we have 8 weeks, which is 2 months, and we are running 2 week sprints, so all you just need to do is to multiply the velocity now, the team velocity, which is 3 now. So over here, you change this to 3. So I'm going to use team velocity multiply the 4 sprints, which make up the 8 weeks. 4 sprints make up 8 weeks, right? So you're going to use the velocity, team velocity, which is 3 now, multiply the 4 sprints, and it will give you 12 story points. So what it means that in 2 months, your team will only be able to deliver, to release 12 story points as their release. So maybe coming here, so to do this, I'm coming, let me just talk these guys back. So now we're going to, since it's 12 story point that we'll be able to release for the first sprint, I want to reduce this. What we have here was 23 story points. I have to reduce this guy to 12. Okay. So let's say progress. Now to do this, let me see if there's that version here. Okay. Okay, so I'm coming. Go to release. Oh, something is happening here. Oh, I may not be able to do that. I may not be able to do that here because why I'm using team manage, right? I'm using team manager. I will not be able to do it. I'm supposed to have another column that will show me without release. So let me open my own Jira. So that is another thing we're going to consider here. I will not be able to do that to remove this. Instead, I should be able to remove some story points here by pushing it back to version without release. But here, there's no way I can do that here because I'm using team manage. So that is why, please note this. When you start working maybe in a professional space, please don't use team manage to deliver a strong project. Reason is this: team manage is being constrained to so many things. One, you cannot manage multiple Scrum board. You cannot manage more than one Scrum team. Under one project in team manage. But in company manage, you can manage more than one Scrum team under one project in that company manage. You can also do some other things like this version, some things that are not there. So that is why you always need to use company manage. If you're working for a company or want to deliver a please use company, not team manage. Right? So we will not be able to achieve that here. But what I should have been able to do, let me see if I can open it here. Why is it still loading now? I wanted to open my company manager, but since I'm having network issue here. Okay, so I'll use a company managed project now. Let me look for one. Let's see if we can do this here. Don't make this as a progress here. Okay, so now this is a company manager. Look at what's happening here. You can see this one. In team manager, we're not seeing this issues with that version, right? So this one means the one that I don't want, like if I want to remove some, the one I don't want to add in the release, I can actually move them out, like remove them, right? Like return them back. Here, why this one is the version. So this is 13 story point now for this one, estimated one. You can also see the user store. If you want to view the version, you can see the user store, and I guess is this one, right? Now, if I want to move, I think I want, so let's assume I want to reduce this guy to 10 now. I want to reduce, so all I just need to do here is to come here. I'll move one of these. I'll just move this guy to this. Right. But this is the estimate. 10 story point. So for me to, so the ones I was estimated, I think it should be from here. So I'll just move this guy. Let's assume I move this guy now. I drag this guy to issue without this. You can see it has reduced now. So that's, and I was trying to do it before to drag all of them once, but it wasn't going through. Now I'm able to do it here. Now, what I did here, because I'm continuing, I'm just using this scenario here now, 12 story point now. Initially, this guy was 13. This guy was 13, right? Okay, let me return everything first. So you see what I'm saying. Let's say I plan this, and this. I move them to version 1. You can see now I have 18 story points. And here, over here, based on 44 weeks for the period of the 2 months, we will be able to deliver only 12 story points for our release. So now I want to reduce this thing. We've already planned our sprint. But then because of the 2 months, the stakeholders say we must release within that 2 weeks, 2 months, right? So what I would now do, I need to reduce this guy by coming here. So since this is 18, And I need to have is 12 story points. So I have to check here. Let's say I'll check this guy. So for me to have this, I need to remove, definitely I will not be able to remove, so I'm supposed to remove 4 here. Sorry, I'm supposed to remove 6. Let's say if we have 6. Okay, I think I have 6 here. So I'll remove 6, right? So I'll just drag this guy to this. Okay. So you can see it has reduced now. So that's the, so now we are fine now. So that means that this is the only, you can see it has reduced to 12 now, and we are fine now based on our calculation that only 12 story points we can release for that particular sprint. Of course, so the team are okay now. So this matched the estimation we made for 2 months. So you can see. So this is the difference, one of the difference you can see when you are using a team manage and company manage, right? So another thing now, let me quickly show us how to. So for Scrum team manage, if I'm working a project with team manage, company manage, you can manage multiple Scrum team. Let's assume you have, but depending how large that product is, you can manage more than 1 team, 2, 3, 4, right? In under one project. But you can only do that with using a company manage. So if you watch here, this one is showing active sprints. Why for company manage? Why for team manage? That one is showing just board, right? So what I want to do now, if I want to create a new board, let's say for under Scrum team, all I just need to do, I come here. So I come here, it's supposed to give me a drop down. Okay, so over here you can see where the right board. So you click on this drop down. So when you click on this, you can see a lot of board that I've created for other projects. They are still under one project, but you can have more than one board here, whereby you have an under Scrum team. Remember, a Scrum team cannot more than 10, right? So you want to bring another team maybe to crash the project so that the work can move faster and all that. All you need to do now is to create a new board that you're going to use to manage them. So you can come here. If you want to create a new board, just click view all the board. Remember, you can only do this when you're on team company manage. When you click on view all, then you will see this one, create board. So you click on create board and to load, you write the name of the board. So you ask you, do you want to use Kanban or Scrum? I'll go with Scrum. Now it's going to ask me for the board I want to create. Am I creating a new board from a new software project? No, I'm not creating because I'm already like working on existing projects, right? I want to add a new team to existing projects, right? So I'm going to say I'm creating board from an existing project, right? I'll click on this one. So when I click on this, you will not ask me, I should put name of the board name. Maybe I call this one Springcraft. Same, right? Now the project, I'm going to select the project I was working for. I don't even know the project, but I'm just going to use anything. Yeah, I don't know the project actually. So I'll just select maybe this one. I'm not going to ask me where do I want these things to save. I will select location, select a location. So I don't know like what are projects are. I don't know the projects actually. So I'll just select this one and I will create board. But I doubt if this is the project. So, but you must select the exact projects that you're working on. So it will now give you a new board and you start doing so you can see, start doing and plan for them and others. So this is how you can do manage multiple board, multiple Scrum team in company manager and others. So now let's look at what we have next. So done velocity and all that. Dashboard, created dashboard, done this. Oh, bug reports. After that, this. So we have two more to go, please. Let's just quickly look at it down. That will be the end. Oh my God. Okay, so now to link dependence now, it's not actually difficult. So what do you want to do? If you want to link dependence, you go to timeline, right? So these guys, they've already done all these things here. So all you need to do now, let's assume I change this thing to week now. I want to connect, like want to place do what they call finish to start technique here, whereby that's, let's say, landing page creation must be completed before they start building landing page development, right? So all you just need to do, I've connected this. Let me just disconnect. Um, so I'll disconnect, right? So let's assume now, I want this user profile now. This is how to link dependence. If you're hearing of dependence, I want this user profile creation to complete before this guy starts. So all I just need to do, for me to do, okay, to link this guy to this, so all I need to do here is to draw. You see this guy. So let me see the date. So let's assume I link this one. Let's see. So now this is actually the connection I'm trying to play here, right? So for you to show that there's a connection between this one and this one, right? So it's by you connecting this. So it's actually, this thing very, very simple to understand if you have used Microsoft Project before, right? So all those the linking of dependencies that predecessor against the successor, this is what we're actually showing here. So this is how to link dependencies. So all these errors I are seeing means that the users, like, there's a child issue. Child issue means user story have started, before the maybe started before the epic, complete and all that. So that's how to link dependence, right? So I think we just need to stop here. We've covered actually almost everything that is important here, right? So let's quickly ask our question before we go.
I have a question to ask.
Please ask.
Okay, with issuing of the story points, when using the Fibonacci sequence, because I know you put
Sorry,
some story points.
please, can you be audible?
Hello?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I said in the part of issuing story points, we use Fibonacci sequence for issuing the story points. And
Yes.
when you're some story points I saw, some were 2, some were 1, some were 3, some were 5. So if you are using
Yeah.
Fibonacci sequence, if 2, does 2 represent 2 days or 2 weeks? I don't really get that part.
Oh, please. Okay, so let me just quickly open planning poker. Now, please, it seems that you are missing Fibonacci sequence. That thing you are seeing here is actually Fibonacci sequence, right? Okay, count the numbers in Fibonacci. Like, this is not a harming something. Like, can you freely mention the numbers for Fibonacci that you think they are the Fibonacci sequence number, or the ones you think you know?
And the ones I know is if you've got like 1, the next number
Mm-hmm.
has to be 3, the next number has to be 5. Just it progresses like that. You add the previous number to the next to get the next number. So I don't know if those
Okay.
numbers you're adding are they in days or in weeks?
No, please, they are not in days. This is what I was explaining before. Please, let's get this clear. One story point is never equals to 1 day. Please, right? Like I said, these are for relative estimate. Let me quickly open planning poker. These are story points, right? They are for what's it called? Relative estimate for this user story in terms of the risk that is involved, the workload, right? And other factors that maybe the developers know that we don't even know. So they're going to cut. It's not this story point. It's not only one person that is. It's not only the software. The software developer will be there. The tester will be there. They're going to have agreement. Like they will all decide to come to a particular, for each of the story point, they will come to a particular agreement, like by giving, okay, assuming, okay, fine. All of them will agree to a consensus that it's going to be 5 here, right? And they will put 5 here. So now let me quickly address this. Please, one story point is not equals to 1 day. Neither is 2 story point equals to 2 days. Where you can only have that is where we did this time tracking, workload, right? That is where is that one again? Okay, this original time estimate, this is where you have time. You can use 2 days. If they tell you how long will it take to complete, say it's 2 days. You can put 2 days here, and Jira will turn it to let's say you put 2 days here. It's possible here, but you don't do it here, please. Right. So now look at another way you can see this. Let me quickly show you something here. Project settings. Uh, uh, access your features. Please look this. Look at estimation. Look at what they wrote here. Story points use units to estimate complexity, size, and effort, right? Now, time use minutes, hour, and days to estimate effort. The original estimate field is automatically added to each issue, which so use this one to estimate the time, hours, days, and all that developers will it will take them to do their work, their workload. You are using this one story point to estimate the complexity. When I mean complexity, in terms of risk, what are the volume of what that are involved and all that things that are involved in that user story, right? So that's why I gave example before with what I used to give example of that. Either using a phone as one user story, right? Like a user story is a phone. Then the components, the work that is involved to complete that phone. That's why I expect creating all those components. This is what I was trying to explain then. I don't know if it's clearer to you now. Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you. It's clear,
is
but
it
I
clear?
still don't. Yes, but I'm still getting a little bit of mix up. So one story point 5 days.
5 days. Please,
Yeah,
I don't know. For me, I've never seen that, right? So I don't know where one story point is 5, but I just told you. Okay, let me see something. Let me see if I can see t-shirt. Hold on, let me enter planning poker. It's not five. It's not one story point. Is not 5 days, please. Right? It's not 5 days. No, I don't like. For me, I don't see it that way. Planning poker, and I've never kind of heard something like that. Planning. These things are much. Let me look for it. There's one, the original one. Planning. Plan it online. I think plan it online. But this is the one I need. So this planning poker, they are different types. And that's I needed to explain to you guys here also. Let me open this one and open another one. Please, like I said, Scrum Master is not involved in estimation. Neither is the product owner. So there are some planning poker you use to allow like it you must like the product owner or whoever that's in must estimate. You need to log in as if I Scrum Master product, you need to log in as a spectator or maybe uh, as a viewer, something like right. So let me see if I open this one, start again. I'm having a top challenge.
the reason why I'm asking because there was a sprint we ran and
Yeah, go ahead.
the developer said he
Yeah.
needed it's going to take him 2 weeks. So we had to award 2 story points and automatically that sprint
You
ran.
need what?
The developer needed
Okay, so
he will need 2 weeks to complete the
yes.
sprint. And
Now let me Sorry, let me quickly address something here. Let me go back to now. Why you may be having that challenge is this: one, you have only one developer in your team, or rather two, just tester and the software developer, right?
Yes.
So most times they will look at that one, decide how many, go maybe log into that Fibonacci poker to do all that. But then if there are much team, that's why if you were here when I was breaking down this work for phone, you would have seen what I did there. I'm trying to go back to that sentence for you to see that I said that story point is for relative estimates. They've considered the volume of work from the acceptance criteria. Then maybe are they going to link code? Are they going to do a lot of things? Maybe the backend, both the tester, they all agree that okay, fine, we're going to give you that user story, 5 story points. But then that doesn't mean that is the time it's going to take them. 5 story points is not equal to 5 days. Please. Right? Except maybe your company are using maybe they assume their own policy that they are assuming that 1 story point is equal to 1 day. No problem. You can go ahead with that. But for me, what I know is that it's not story. As I showed you from Jira. I just showed you from Jira that it is not the same, right? You use story point days, hours to estimate the workload. So now, if a developer told you that you need 5 days, that means the workload for that workload that is going to take him 5 days to deliver that maybe task that is involved. Now, because why he did not break that task down, because he's the only one that is involved in that task. I'm going back to that task now. I reopened the experience before. Okay, so this is where I did that thing before, right? So this is where I did that thing before, right? Now this is a story point. This is a story point. This user story I assume as a phone, right? I assume this user story as a phone.
Yeah, we want because it's Igbo.
Can you mute yourself? I assume this user story as a phone, right? I told her that this is a phone. See this as your own phone, like complete phone, right? Now, this is a phone that you want to build, right? Your team wants to build this phone. This is a phone. See this as a phone. Maybe your Android phone, maybe an iPhone, right? But of course, before they can build this iPhone, it has a different component, right? It has different component now. So there are different work that need to be, done on this for them to deliver this phone, right? Now, that is where, so the whole development in the front end, back end, and the tester, they've come and look at this user story now. So this testimony now, that is the phone. Considering the acceptance criteria that is here, that's the volume of work here now. Then other factors that they will consider, they will not say, okay, each of them will vote. It's actually by voting. They don't do average. That's why I wanted to open that planning poker. In planning poker, you don't do average, please. It's always a consensus agreement whereby they will all have to come out with, like almost all of them will have the same number. They are assuming that they agree on 5. They are taking 5. A station whereby you have 2, maybe they have five developers voting. So let's say 3 vote 2. Why the other 2 vote 5 and maybe 1? Please, the question you need to do as a Scrum Master, this is where conflict resolution comes in. You ask the person that voted 5, why did you choose 5? He will give you his reason that because the volume of work here, he has more criteria. I need to do this, I need to do that. He said, okay. You ask the person that voted 1, why did you choose 1? He will tell you, I don't think it's much that it's supposed to take us much time and all that because of this and all that. So then you will not ask the remaining 3 that voted choose 3 as story points. Guys, what do you guys think? They will tell you, or they will give their further explanation. Of course, the product owner will be there, maybe to clarify this acceptance criteria that he has written here. So if after clarification, further clarification, then the people that voted 3 and 1 and 5 may decide, okay, no, let's revote again, or we are going with 3, let's go with 3. Once all of them agree with 3, they are choosing 3. You don't go and take average because maybe you added the total number and it gave you 7. You go and put 7 there. Please, that is not Scrum. Right. So now, coming back to explain what I was telling you before. Now, this story point, let's assume that these 5 developers are here. They all agree now that they're going to choose 3 as a story point here. After much deliberation and all that, it's a dialogue. That's why they're using planning poker, because they have to dialogue about it. Now, once they have agreed as three story point, the next thing that Scrum Master is going to ask them for him to break down this task for them. We ask them, so which work are we going to do on this task, on this user story to deliver this user story? They will not say, the first person will say, okay, design a phone. What I have here, say design phone frame, right? Then the next person say, create battery cover. You can see. Then do all these things and all that. So as you're saying it, you're asking them who is going to design the phone frame. You are not going to assign, but you ask them who is going to design. They will tell you, okay, this person will say, assign me to that place. So when you assign him to design the phone frame, now you are not going to, this way you're not asking, come, only how many hours or how long do you think it will take you to design this phone cover? He will not tell you to take me 5 days. If you say 5 days, you come here and put 5 days for him, right? 5 days. That is what it's going to take. That's 1 week. You can see, right? You the same for the other person. Now, but the reason why you're having this developer is telling you it's going to take in 7 days because he's the only one estimating. But then you guys are making mistakes. You should have the tester also because you have to. So for you to break your user story in your team, what you need to do is this. Now, for like this, manage a project, you need to divide this work into 2, right? Of course, the tester and the developer will go and estimate, agreed on a particular user story point they're going to assign. Let's assume they agreed for this one, 5 or 8. They agreed that 8 story points will be enough for this user story based on the you can see this one has much certain criteria and other things. So now what you need to do as a Scrum Master, right? What you need to do here is to create a sub task for these 2 guys because you have a tester there. The tester is going to do his own part in this particular user story. While developer is going to do his own part also on this same user story before he can complete. So what you do now, you come here and simple thing to do. That's now right development stage. Development stage. This way assign a developer now. You're not this way you not ask you can assign a developer. Let's say JTech is developer. You ask him now, how long is it? You now open development stage, asking how long is it going to take him to deliver, to complete the development stage of it. He will tell you 5 days. If you say 5 days, you put 5 days there, right? You go back again and do for testing now. So when he's done doing this, so you create another one, testing stage. Now you ask the tester, how long will it take you to test this code? And it will tell you 2 days or 3 days. You put 3 days there. You're tracking their workload now. This is how you measure their workload, their time load. But the user story is a real estimate for all the work here, right? Now, what you will now do is unfortunate that this Jira will not be able to do that. What you are supposed to do on this board now, you're supposed to be seeing. So for this user story to complete now, where's the user story now? So for you to complete this user story, this manage a project, you can see you have some subtasks. You can see that means you have 2 issues that you must complete before this user story can be moved to done or complete. So even if I move this user story to done now, right, and I try to complete my sprints, let me try it with something here. Let me try it somewhere here so that you see that there's a difference. It will not allow me to complete these sprints. Let's say it's like let's software development. Then I create, then the next one I create a testing stage, right? Now I'll go and complete these sprints, right? Let's assume I move other cards because I'll just move everything to done now, but it will not allow me to complete these sprints. Of course, in actual sense, this sprint supposed to be able to, I should be able to complete this sprint now, right? But now, this sprint, I will not be able to complete this sprint. Let me see. Yeah, because why? These two are still in sprint backlog. It's still showing me 0% here. No work has been completed on this. Even if I move the user story, I'll move the parent issue, which is user story now to done. Whereas the task that is involved, I've not moved them to done. It's not complete. Now click on complete. You see what it will tell me, right? Look at what it's telling me. Sprints cannot be completed as they are incomplete subtasks on the following, right? So I need to go and resolve this guy. So this is where your development, because why you have a time tracking of the workload of the development team, even if they have moved the story point to done and all that, they must complete the work. They've, the task, the broken down task, which is this 0 to 0 development stage. Even when developer moves this card to done, of course, this as Scrum Master, this is your job. If you monitoring it to know that developer has moved this card to done and all that. So, and once until you move these guys to done, right? That is when Jira will understand that you've completed this task, right? So this is where you use the timing. The developer can tell you, okay, it's taking 5 days, you assign 5 days to it. But why it will not be clearer to you guys is because you guys have only one developer, right? Or rather two. And the tester is, most of the testers usually come from, they also, they are not much experienced in it, right? So this is why it will not be clearer to you. But then I will advise you one thing. If you want to learn further, please use YouTube, right? Go to YouTube and watch a sprint planning. Type on YouTube sprint planning practical. Definitely, I believe you may see some video where they will do live, teach you how to do this thing in a real way. Please, like I said, Scrum looks simple, but it's difficult to understand, kind of practice, right? So when you do that, you see multiple developers. So there you understand how they are doing it better, right? I don't know how I could explain it better for you, but I think if you use other means, maybe YouTube, maybe Google, you could be able to see further information, right?
It's clearer now, though. Thanks.
Okay, but you can still modify your modify with YouTube, or maybe type it on Google. You can analyze all that. So any other question, please?
Yeah, just a quick one still on that Fibonacci sequel. Is it that the higher the number, the more complex the situation is, and the lower?
Yes, that's what it means. That's what it means. Now let me use t-shirts. I'm trying to open. Let me see if one will open. I don't know why. Planning. Sequel. I don't know if I've used this one before. Let me open one. So it's not, please note, it's not only Fibonacci sequence they are using to do this for time estimation. Some people use t-shirts. Depending if you're working in an office, they can have card like what? What is a normal playing card? Let's say let me have a cancellation. I'm having network challenge here. Um, now, sorry, my network. Somebody can come ask other questions, please. Why this one is loading? My network is slow. Okay, so now I want to create a new. We're already here, so I want to create a new one. That's why I want to create a new task now. Of course, you need to put name of your room. I'll put name. So now this is where you select. You can decide to select Scrum, Fibonacci sequence, and all that. You can see, you can measure with sequential t-shirts, right? So now for office, most of the office, if you're working like office, like normal using a normal board, like whiteboard and all that, Scrum room, you may likely experience a card, playing card. So let's use playing card to do this, or t-shirt. So t-shirt now starts with extra small size. Of course, you know how you have like shirt, although now all this t-shirt is, yeah, it starts with extra small, extra okay, so extra small, medium, large, and extra large and all that. So I'm going to display all this now. So of course, small means that you cannot compare size. Or let me use t-shirts. I'll create with t-shirts. Okay, sorry, I should be able to customize the card. So these are the card now. Oh, I made a mistake here. Let me just. So these are the card, right? This is what I want to use now. Now I'm not using. I don't want to use Fibonacci sequence. I want to use card like t-shirts. You can see this is extra small. Extra small, of course. Now you mean that extra small is smaller than this guy, right? Why medium is small is smaller is less is less complex to medium. The same applies to large. So this is what it means. Now you cannot compare. Of course, picture a shirt. When you bring out a extra large and extra large, you can see that the gap is too much, right? So that is why how it is. So the smaller the larger the number, the higher the complex that number that user story have. Is that clear to you?
Yes, thank you. I have
Yeah.
another question, please.
Please. Go ahead.
Do companies normally have templates, like Excel templates and dashboards to be used? For instance, the capacity dashboard.
Yeah, capacity dashboard. No, you really want to create dashboard for yourself. Like you're here, I created it from scratch now. I created dashboard, a Jira dashboard by myself from scratch. So as a Scrum Master, why am I showing you all this? Why am I showing all this? Why am I showing you guys all this? Because these are the way, apart from understanding Scrum Guide. But then please, honestly, you may not be able to do Scrum Master if you don't understand Scrum Guide, right? That's like your Bible. You must understand it as a Scrum Master because your job there is to teach them to understand that small 14 pages to follow it to deliver products, right? So you must read your Scrum Guide very well. Then in addition to that, you must understand how to do capacity planning, know your availability of time. So most times some established company, they usually have templates, but some don't have. So if they don't have, you really want to create by yourself as a Scrum Master. Yeah, of course, you cannot go into sprint planning without a capacity planning, right? But you cannot go into sprint planning without knowing the capacity of your team. What's the availability of your team? Which of your team member is going on leave and all that? You need to know that and know how it's going to affect your sprints, right? So the same thing. So for the Jira dashboard, you really want to create it by yourself. Nobody will create for you. But it's optional. It's only for you to visualize everything that is going on in your project for easy reporting. You can easily use it to show what is going on, daily updates, right? For templates, they may not give you, but some may give you, depending on the. But if you're working with startup, please don't expect anything like that from startup, right? If you're working with startup, don't actually expect them to give you that, right? The only thing that you may see in startup, they may tell you that they want to be running 1 week sprints, 2 week sprints, or even 1 week sprints. Is their standard, like it's what they believe in. Follow that step, but then you will not be able to tell them that let's continue running 2 week sprint. No, but templates, you may likely not get templates from startup, but some established big organizations, like if you work with them, maybe Fruitaway, Microsoft, you may likely have templates. Or in fact, all those guys, they are using they are using digital, they're using they have paid version of Jira now. So paid version means you can be able to utilize all those features, right? So that's the only thing there. Any other question?
Yes, one last one from me, please.
Go ahead.
Jira and the reports you created, burn down charts and all that. How do you send those to your C-levels? How can you send it? Do you just grant them access to your Jira board, or you have to manually send it to them once they request?
Okay, no, this is how you create. No, this is how you send reports. Okay, so let me go back to that Jira. Okay, let me just use my own. Let me use my. Now, if I want, I don't know if I have dashboard for this team. Let's assume I created a dashboard, right? I don't know if I have anyone. Let me see. Okay, what's in search? Now, this dashboard now, right? If I want to send it to, I think it's in paid version. I should be able to click somewhere here to see send, convert to PDF. Right, but if I'm not seeing it here, there's a widget you need to go and install. It's not here. right? There's a widget. Okay, I think you should be able to have it in advanced. If you have a paid version Jira, that is advanced. I think that widget will come out here for you to be able to convert to PDF. Well, since you don't have it and you want to send this report, maybe use that daily update, add it to your email to send as attachment to send.
Mhm.
You go to this place. You go to apps. I don't know if I even remember the name of that stuff. Safe. Well, let me see if I search, I will be able to remember. There's a widget that you need to download. But I think it's paid version also. I think I've used it before.
So if my
Forgotten the name.
company uses Jira, I should have access to be able to send
Yeah, if
the
your
report.
company uses a paid Jira, like
Mm.
the subscribe version, you'll be able to have that download version, like convert
Okay.
to PDF, where you can
Okay.
export this dashboard to PDF. But if they don't like, if you're working for startup, please startup. If you're working for startup, most times they will not have all these things. So they are kind of course, they are starting up now. So you are expected
Okay.
to do a lot of things, right? So there's a widget here. Let me see PDF. Let me just type PDF. I've forgotten the name of that stuff. Forgotten the name of that thing. There's a particular gadget you need to download, you need to install. You should be able to use it to convert your tools. PDF something. I think easy PDF. Sorry, I've forgotten the name of that widget. But I know it's not free. Let's see if it shows something. Honestly, I've forgotten the name of that stuff. Because I don't usually use it because I'm people I'm working for is a startup, so I don't need it. I don't need it to do my who will be paying for it.
Okay. The
Let
the
me
report
see.
you created was in a 2 or 3 line format. So once you export it, will it appear like that as it was on your Jira board, or it will be individually? So burn
Of
chart
course, it will
report.
convert to PDF. It will convert to PDF. Right. I've forgotten, I've used it before, but I've forgotten the name of that stuff. Yeah, look at it. This is software you need. You need to buy, download
Okay.
this. Like
Yeah.
you need to go and activate it. But then the only person that can do this is Jira admin. If you're not the admin of that Jira, look at this. This is what you need. So better PDF exporter. You can see.
Okay.
This is the tool
Thank
you need. Please note this. If you want to export your PDF, your
Mhm.
dashboard, to maybe want to attach it as attachment. This is what you need. They call it better PDF exporter for Jira. So customize PDF exporter for export for Jira. Issues that you can see issues dashboard, timesheet, and all that invoice releases. So instead of you doing this manual one,
Yeah.
you have everything there. Instead of you doing the manual one, if you have this thing installed, I can install it. But if I'm not a Jira admin for this product, I will not be able to access it. Like it will not be. It will tell you that it's only the admin that will approve it.
Okay.
You can see. So after 30 days, you start paying for it. You have a free 30 days trial. So why would I use this? Why I know that so this is how it will display. To
Okay.
display a dashboard so you can see this is how it's supposed to come out. Or anything that you give him, but then you need to install it and you can see. So this is how you're supposed to see it. So once you click try, if I click on this try now, I don't think I'm the admin of this Jira I'm using right now. Right? So if I'm not the admin, I will not be able to approve it. So any other question?
No, thank you.
All right, so I believe we are fine now. So what I need to advise us again is this: please try to read your Scrum guide. Scrum Master, Product Owner, especially Scrum Master, read your Scrum guide. Read your Scrum guide very well, because you cannot be teaching people where like reason why you are being hired. Like I said it again. Uh, Now, for instance, you are being hired as a Scrum Master, right? A company hire you as a Scrum Master to manage the team, to teach them to understand Scrum. and deliver a product very fast. Because that is the reason why everybody is using Scrum to deliver a product very fast. Now you come back, you're coming back to the C level guys to tell them that the guys are not attending meeting though, that you've tried your best the first time, nobody is responding to you, nobody's attending meeting. They will keep you quiet. They may not respond to that your mail. Send them, nobody will respond to it. The next thing, they will go and have a meeting about you and say, this guy is not competent enough. Why? Because it's your duty, right? Team effectiveness is your duty. So I'm wondering why you go and report that your team is not responding to maybe meeting, or they are not doing their job, because that means you're not managing them very well, right? So you need to, apart from having all these tools and all that, understanding these tools, there's what they call Scrum Master periodic table for Scrum Master. I think I've sent it to some group before. People that the first cohort is Team Sword and all that. You guys must have that in your Slack channel. That periodic table is Scrum Master job is beyond learning the tools. Apart from learning the tools, the behavioral aspect of it, learning managing human behaviors and others is very, very important. So you need to go back and learn that, right? The time I send it, I don't know. It's called Scrum Master periodic table, right? So from there, you see a lot of skills that you need to learn, like conflict resolution, a lot of skills that you need to learn. Study them very well. So
Please,
it's
can
not
you
about.
resend it? I don't think you sent it to our team, Team Search. I
Sorry,
don't
what's the
think
name of
so.
your team? What's the name of your
Search.
team? Team Surge.
Yes.
I sent it to your team. Yeah, I sent it to your team. I sent to the first cohort. I sent to their teams. But I can't really. Let me check team in Noveto. I know I sent it to. I
You
sent
didn't
it to
send it.
you guys.
Sorry, you didn't send it to
Sorry?
Team Agile. You didn't send it. You didn't send anything to Team Agile for you.
No, not your team. I've not sent it to this new team, but I know I sent it to the previous cohorts. Right. I'm trying to look for the link here to drop. I copied the Scrum Masters of each those
Okay.
teams.
Okay.
Yeah, I've not sent to your team. I know I sent it here. I will see it here. But I know I copied the Scrum Masters and I drop it for them, that they should ensure that they read it. So any other question, please? Why I'm searching for this?
I'm sorry, I want to ask, is it compulsory for the Scrum Master or the project manager to know the tools being used by the developer and tester?
So I don't think you have a business with that now. You don't need to know the even if you know the tools, I don't think that will make any impact. Nobody's going to ask the Java or maybe C# or whatever they are using. I don't think, if you want to know it, maybe you have interest in development, right? That's the only way you have interest in it. But for me, if you have interest in it, I don't think it's necessary to know the tools they are using, like for their coding. Your own is to ensure that team are effective and they are delivering their work. I don't think you have business with their code and all that, because ideally you will not be able to troubleshoot the code except you have interest in development. Like you have idea, you're a T-shaped skill person. Like you have you know how to write code and all that. That's the only time you can. Okay, look at it. So this is Team Innovator. Now I copied Cynthia, so I'm going to share look at what I said. All Scrum Master in this cohort should read this article to improve your soft skills as a Scrum Master. And these are all the Scrum Masters. So I'm going to just copy the link I sent and drop it in this group, in this meeting now. So if you're a Scrum Master, please read this. It will help you a lot.
Thank you.
I just dropped the link so you can push it to your various cohorts. It's on this meeting chat. It's called Scrum Master Periodic Table. So you must understand its master. It's a lot of things there. So it's not all about using Jira or maybe Trello or other tools, right? But then learn the basic things, some all these things, explore. Any other question? Okay, guys. So if not that question, we'll call it a night now. Right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thanks
man.
again,
Thank
Gozie.
you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night, Cynthia.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.